Primary.
It'll be exciting.
Brett just reading your comments at home, by the way. She said right before we went live, she goes, I haven't voted yet because I don't know who to vote for. I haven't really been paying attention.
Okay. It is the truth. So I'm here to learn with everybody else.
All right. Well, she's here to learn. There we go. So I brought on an expert, MAGA Jesse. MAGA Jesse, we're going to get to a lot on this program. What are we going to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, it's primary day, so now is the day to get out and vote. I'm very excited for it, obviously. No surprise, I've already voted. I voted for Royce White. Obviously, that's the man who we need for the U.S. Senate right now, taking on Rhino Joe Fraser. We'll be getting into the U.S. Senate race. We'll be talking about the congressional races, the different primaries that are being held on the Republican and Democratic side. We'll be talking about things a little bit more local, Minnesota House races. And then we'll be talking about a few extra stories. Elon Musk talking about Walz signing pedophile language, which we've reported on before. And then we've got a fake Republican, a Rhino. I don't even know if I want to call him a Rhino because he's not even
a fake Republican.
Right.
He's not a Republican.
So Republican name only. Writes a Star Tribune editorial endorsing Harris and Walz. We'll be talking about how phony that thing is right there.
By the way, I didn't talk about this in the show prep, but are you aware Elon Musk? Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I've watched most of the interview or I've listened to most of the
No, I'm talking about this Elon Musk story about him asking community notes if this Walz signing pedophilia is true.
Right, yeah, I'd seen you talking about it in some group chats, so.
Okay, gotcha. Running the dials as always, Mr. Deep State himself, Dawson. How you doing there, Dawson?
Oh, I'm good. I forgot to flip a switch on my camera, but I'm here, I assure you, and it's going very well.
Good. So there's just this awkward camera trained on my face, and I wasn't ready for that.
It's awkward. You're on camera all the time. It shouldn't be awkward.
Yeah, I know,
anymore.
but I'm looking at you, and then all of a sudden I'm just dazing off in the distance. There we go. Oh my God! Wow, we really got our shit together today. This is amazing. Apparently, Locals isn't working for us today, so we can't do the post show on Locals, which is unfortunate. We still would love your support. We'll do an extra special post show on Thursday. If you want to join us, be a monthly subscriber. It really helps out the show, builds our audience. Click on Join on Rumble, and then that directs you to the Locals account. Also, we could use your likes, your subscription, subscribe on Rumble or on YouTube if you're watching there. And then also, we couldn't do the show without our great sponsors, Alpine Cabinetry in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Warren Wessel of Keller Williams Realty. I was talking to Warren this morning. Great realtor. I don't want to tell you what I'm talking to him about, but I know he's a damn good realtor. He's a good friend. 612-419-7453 if you need to buy or sell a home. And if you're buying a home, why don't you give the good guys at John Galt Mortgage Company a chance at financing your home? You can go to johngaltmortgage.com. These guys are awesome. They think like you and me. They put it out there on the social media platform. Just check them out on Facebook. Dawson, you be my accountability buddy. Don't let me forget Yes Solutions mid-show, okay? Because that is a great sponsor, and I don't want to forget it. But I don't do all the sponsorships up front because I got to mix it up a little bit. All right. We got so much to get into. Let's start out with the U.S. Senate race. We got Royce White versus Joe Fraser. Just pull up an image. I think most people know what these guys look like. This is from the Star Tribune. Cowboy Joe Fraser.
Oh, man. They got him in costume, right, for his Farm Fest costume. That's exactly what Joe Fraser was wearing. You know, he's
That's
not
what
a
he wore
rancher.
at Farm Fest?
That's what he wore to Farm Fest because he's such a phony, he's such a pretender. And then, you know, you look in the crowd of the people who are actually there, everybody's wearing baseball hats. You know, nobody's
that's what
wearing
farmers
cowboy
wear in
hats.
Minnesota.
So, you know, him and Amy Klobuchar, they played dress up for Farm Fest. While
Are you seriously
Royce White
really
was,
wore that?
The same him. Yep. Go ahead.
Dude, this is so funny. You guys are laughing at the hat, and I thought we were all laughing together at the aspect ratio. I was like, oh, they got something funny going on over there.
I didn't understand why that aspect ratio is over when I was sharing it with you.
I
Is
have
it
no
the
idea.
mobile version? Because that came up in a Google search.
What are you saying? They look like they're the same
It's wide.
size
It's
image?
wide and it.
No,
like, this
they
starts
are the
reading.
same size, but they're same weird stretchy width, which
Oh.
is
Yeah.
weird. That's all.
Oh my God! So I just looked it up. I just Googled Joe Fraser Farm Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! I mean, listen, I already knew this guy was phony, but like,
Yeah,
what are
he's
you
Total city guy.
doing?
right. He played dress up. He'll dress up for whoever he's talking to. You know, it's ridiculous. Nobody wants a guy like that. And who knows what he's going to dress when he talks to the Muslims or whatever else he's going to go and talk to. He's going to find all these different special interest groups, and he's going to play dress up and try to buy their votes.
Well, Jesse, he's not gonna wear hijab because he's a he/him. So we know that's not.
true.
In the oh my God! No, go back to that photo. I just can't get over this. this is what I was just on. I was on two shows. Austin Peterson's show yesterday morning, and Aaron Doerr's show. I think I said it on both programs, but definitely said it yesterday on Austin Peterson's show. He was asking, like, is Tim Walz this, like, down to earth? Oh, shucks, rural Minnesotan guy. And like, no, these guys every hunting season throw on a fresh pair of Blaze Orange. It doesn't have any dirt on it, and they're like, oh, I'm a hunter just like you. I'm like, bullshit, you are.
What's funny is when I was at the Trump rally, the guy behind me in line knows Jensen really well. Remember that picture?
I remember that picture.
Yeah, that picture.
Yeah.
The guy. So there was a guy behind him, and then I think his father-in-law, and that's where Jensen was when he supposedly went on that hunt. And I guess the guy was like, oh, yeah. He's like, I was one that told Jensen, like, here, hold my pheasants. Like, he had shot them. And he's like, and get a kid in there. It'll look better. And I was like, oh my gosh. So Jensen had nothing to do.
Okay. We have
Which
to
we knew, but
Dawson,
it was just funny.
go Google Scott Jensen hunt. Because Scott Jensen,
gee, I'm sure he's
not
a nice guy,
outdoorsman.
but not the outdoorsman and the hunter that he was trying to be with that photo.
Is it not on here? Because it's like he's wearing an Elmer Fudd hat. It's hilarious. Because this is the other thing some clever politicians are realizing is I can go on and actually find some old raggedy hunting stuff. Maybe just type in Blaze Orange.
There it is. Oh, wait, that's not him. Never mind. I was thinking that was Orange.
No,
that's definitely not.
shoot a massive buck.
I don't know.
Is it really not on there?
Now that he's not running, nobody really
no one
cares.
cares.
So.
Yeah, it was just funny.
Shoot. Well, at least Royce wasn't wearing that gay-ass wine hat that he wears all the time.
That is a weird hat.
I got to give him shit about that on the show, and he seemed like he was really defensive over his hat. Because I thought the Daily Show, that was pretty funny that he was wearing this hat of white suburban wives. Like that was a good bit. I thought that was funny.
Minnesota says, I'm surprised Fraser didn't wear the coveralls with no shirt underneath and the cowboy hat, as was suggested on the Truth Hurts show a few weeks ago for someone else to wear.
Royce, you got to take more risks. I think Royce is winning tonight, by the way. Right? So
I think the same thing. Joe Fraser just has not permeated into the discussion at all. I think a lot of people have no idea who he is, and that's the problem. This election, this primary is all about: are you going to vote for Royce, or are you voting against Royce? And Joe Fraser is the consolidated anti-Royce choice. But in this situation, Joe Fraser has no name recognition. He's never run for office before. He's not known, but despite never running for office, he's completely in line with the establishment. He's completely in line with the career politicians, and his message is just not anything that's permeating into the atmosphere here, because patriots are looking at it and they're saying, Royce White is America first. He won the endorsement. Joe Fraser has zero name recognition. He's, barely any media. It's only the media that's trying to prop him up to give him a little bit more attention, but he's not inspiring anybody to do anything. And if Joe Fraser wins, we have we've got a rhino at the top of the ticket who, I just don't see it happening either. He just doesn't have the support on the ground that I've seen at all.
Tucker says maybe Royce is a wine guy. Well, I like wine too. I mean,
Royce doesn't drink.
Really?
Yeah, Royce doesn't drink.
Wait a second. Then why the hell does he have a hat that says wine on it?
No,
Maybe somebody gave
I
it
don't
to
know.
him.
I think he just likes the look and design of the hat, but no, he doesn't.
Are you saying when he goes to strip clubs he's sober the whole time?
Yeah, he doesn't drink. He's like Trump. He don't drink.
I don't know if I buy that. He's really not a drinker. He wears a hat that says wine on it.
When he was in here with that hat, he did just say, I just like the hat.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But
I
no
mean, people
drugs,
do
no
that.
alcohol. Royce is a straight edge guy.
I don't even understand why you would wear a hat that says wine if you don't like wine. It does.
it feels like you have to be drunk to wear a hat like that, but
If you're a dude. Actually, if you're a woman too, I don't know. Okay. By the way, I wasn't sure what I would think of Royce when I met him on set, and I actually was I thought he was a great guy. I like him. I like him a lot.
I like the fact that one thing that makes me, I guess, trust him a little more is that he's close to Steve Bannon. I'm like,
Yeah.
I think Steve Bannon's a solid guy, so I'm like, well, hopefully he's a judge of character.
Well, Brokeback Mountain sent out an email today. So let's pull this up from Joe Fraser, Brokeback Mountain Fraser. Him, in case you didn't know, is LinkedIn. And he actually had I don't know, I guess he's got the email list of all Republicans across the state. Dale, I got the same email. Did you get the email?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. Did you get the email from Fraser?
I saw some email come in. But
There you go. All
don't
right,
read them
so
the
somehow
time.
he's got all our emails. That's interesting
Right,
right there.
I never signed up for anything on Joe
I never
Fraser's
signed
list,
up.
so I don't know how he's getting our emails. Obviously, the Republican Party, or he's still using the delegate list, but I mean, that doesn't make up for everybody either. I'm sure that he's getting these emails that he has no right to have them. The MNGOP should, form an investigation into how he has these emails and prevent him from using these in the future, because this is a campaign violation.
Oh, that was one of the things I was going to do in our post show was a story we're working on that exposes the GOP. This is really interesting stuff. All right, so this is from Joe Fraser. This is him slamming Royce White last minute. We're being fair and balanced here, so here you go. Now, I actually think this is somewhat good because, quite frankly, Royce White, you can scroll down, Royce literally was on the wrong side of some pretty major issues. There's him wearing a mask outdoors with a shirt that says enemy. He was part of Black Lives Matter rallies.
Doesn't he say? Didn't he explain that and say he was not?
Well, yeah, but once again, are we saying that's a doctored image?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's many images of him wearing a mask. Listen,
No,
I'm
but
sorry,
What
I
do you
can't
think
get
that's
over
just
some
the
things in
point, though?
COVID. If you wore a mask outdoors, I just don't know what to say. You were really on the wrong side of something. You were really spoon-fed some bullshit, and you believed it, okay? Now, just hold with me for a second because I'm going to make an argument for Royce. But this is a matter of record. That's him in a Black Lives Matter march wearing a mask outdoors. Then you have it, and it's still F Trump. We need to be honest, though. I don't know what that's a response to. Now, once again, a lot of people have had problems with Trump in the past. I'm the same way, by the way. It sounds like he's legitimately a big Trump supporter. But here's Royce White, and this is from November 7th, 2020. P.S. I don't believe in defunding the police per se, but as a black man who voted for Biden and Kamala, their first stop better be the monopoly on violence in this tyrannical state they have just inherited. We will not back down from the position we have taken regarding tyranny. So
he voted for Biden and Kamala?
So he voted for Biden and Harris. Now,
I didn't know that.
He said disputed things on this, so I'm not sure he would say that now.
I know.
So he's just done like a 180 in a matter of
there
4
you
years?
go.
Well, he says he wrote in Tulsi, and that's the thing. He obviously still has a lot of the same views that he had then on authority. And when you look at police and how having to make sure that the citizens' constitutional rights are protected, that interferes with police at some points. So I think that he's just realizing that the anti-authoritarian message of anti-globalism, pro-freedom is much more fit for the Republican side than the Democrat side. So I don't even know how much he's changed other than the fact that he now sees where the cards are at and how the game is played, that the Democrats want nothing to do with outsiders who are free thinkers like him, and the Republicans are willing to take him in.
Well, I would hope he's changed if he wore a mask outdoors and he
Right.
said he voted
that's
for
the thing. I don't think
Harris.
he was for mask mandates or anything, and he was probably just doing that to blend in
it's
with
the idea that you would even buy into the bullshit that a mask works even indoors, but the fact it works outside. Like, now, this is my argument for
Cindy
Royce.
Lou has a comment,
Go ahead.
which I agree with. She said, not everyone can be as enlightened as us lifelong, common sense conservatives. We want people to see the light.
There you go. So
Which
Cindy,
is true. Like, you need to
yes.
give him a grace period. Like, if he's coming to realization, let him.
Well, he's a younger
some
guy.
time.
I mean, I think he's in his young 30s. At some point, you do hope that somebody sees light. So then it really comes to, is this guy seen light? Because he sounds very red-pilled. We've had him on the show. He goes deep, very deep. I'm not even there with him on some of these things, but it's like, I look him in the face, and I truly am seeing a guy that I believe is telling me what he believes to be the true. And so as Cindy Lou is saying, I think he's shifted that position. Now, the good question, T-Wall for
Yeah,
Life is
T-Wall.
here. Good to see you, T-Wall for Life. The question is, do you believe him? And if you believe him, is the fact that he's made this change so suddenly and so quickly legitimate to you? Because can then he switch back? I don't know the answer to that question. What I do know is, at least he's saying the right things. Royce or Joe Fraser, the guy that's wearing the cowboy hat with like not a speck of dirt on it, and it's got him in his LinkedIn candidate, comes out of nowhere and is supported by the establishment, can't possibly be the answer, right? And I'm just at a point where you don't hear me talk about this race too much because, quite frankly, it's a very thankless job to run against Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota. Let's just be honest. She pulls Republican votes in. So that's a tough one. I don't really think, but I would say if there's a person that stands a chance at beating Amy Klobuchar, it's not broke back Joe Fraser.
No, yeah,
It's going to be Royce White. He'll take some risks.
Right, and Royce is focusing the campaign on 3 big issues: border, debt, forever wars. Those are all 3 issues that everybody with common sense should get on the same page for. Obviously, we need to have a border to have a country. Obviously, we can't be in debt if we want to be able to maintain our country. And then the forever wars, we can't continue to have and be starting and promulgating all these wars around the world. We're going to be causing World War III unless we have a real course correction. And, the fact that Royce is focusing on these 3 issues that anybody with common sense should come to the same position on shows that, and Amy Klobuchar, she's on the opposite side of those 3 issues when it comes to the open border, the debt, and the forever wars. So if anybody is going to be able to pose a real threat to Amy Klobuchar, it's Royce White, and it's definitely not Joe Fraser.
We have a comment from Bad Hat Harry. He says, if you're in your 20s and not liberal, it just jumped.
Oh, well, it jumped for a good reason,
yeah,
but let's finish Bad at Harry's.
I'll finish that one. And not liberal, you have no heart. If you're in your 30s and not conservative, you have no sense. Well, isn't Royce in his early 30s? So maybe when he turned 30, he started coming
today's, because that's a Winston Churchill quote. It's like today's 30s was last year's 40s, whatever.
Oh, okay.
You get what I'm saying.
Yeah. We have Love Minnesota $10 Rumble Rant. Says, I trust Royce White far more than a guy who says he's Republican, but puts him in his profile and wears a fake cowboy hat to fool people. And Amy Klobuchar has to go Royce White.
By the way,
what are the chances?
Oh, go ahead. Well, okay, let me get into that in a second.
Okay.
But by the way, I would say that there's probably plenty of pictures of Joe Fraser wearing a mask outdoors too.
Yeah.
Because let's just be honest, if you got a him in your profile, you probably were a very compliant mask wearer. So nowadays it seems like Royce White wouldn't wear a mask. What are the chances? Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out there, and I'm just trying to be real on this show. Okay, that's the point. It's called Truth Hurts. This isn't propaganda for one candidate, or I'm not like a spinner. I'm not taking the thankless job of Jen Psaki and what is her name?
Jean-Pierre.
What is her name?
Kareem Jean-Pierre.
Kareem Jean-Pierre. Here we're just trying to keep it real, okay? I voted for Royce White this morning because, well, for 2 reasons. First of all, I just think it's more interesting of a race. I kind of want to see the show continue, right? And then number 2 is a better option than Joe Fraser. I don't know if I'm fully convinced on Royce White, but certainly he's a good. So here's what I think his real job is if he can't beat Amy Klobuchar. Is he should be in media. He should be doing what he's been doing. Keep preaching. Let's watch the conversion together. It's a little scary to think that your conversion's that sudden that you're going to be a U.S. Senator. So now I have to trust that you'll go out to Washington, D.C. with all that influence out there. And they literally probably say, we'll put kiddie porn on your computer if you step out of line. Or maybe they even threaten to kill you. I don't know. Somehow they got Joe Biden to not run again anymore. So there's a lot of power out there. So it just scares me a little bit. But then it comes to the point where I don't know if there's much chance he's going to win. And so it's a thankless job. So I thank Royce White for doing it because I think Royce White got in for the right reasons. I have no idea why Joe Fraser got in because the campaign's so pathetic. I have never seen a Joe Fraser sign out in the wild. I just drove it to Bemidji. You see Royce White all over the place.
Yep.
I haven't seen a Joe Fraser sign in the wild. I know good patriots, the Larrys and the Susans of the world that literally go and volunteer their time and money to drive in parades to bring the Royce White float. And the Royce White float in a lot of these rural parades is awesome. It's like the best political parade or float. So that's why I voted for him. So to answer your question, we know the base of the Republican vote in Minnesota, and it's roughly 36%. And that's what Republicans get. And so literally Jim Newberger, I think, got like 36% of Republicans in, let's see, what year that would that have been? 2018? So that's all he got.
Dang.
And so there's enough moderate Republicans that go over and vote for Amy. She clobbers the competition. So my thinking is if Royce can do...
But she's no longer seen as that moderate, not anymore. I think some people are still fooled, but for the most part, a lot of people see that she's voted 100% in line with Joe Biden. She's voted for every radical policy that they've wanted. She's in line with the Democrats on everything. There's not a single time where she's siding with the Republicans. So shaky Amy is a phony. And, also we should mention in this primary that Royce and Fraser are in, there's 5 other candidates that are running. John Berman, Loner Blue, Alicia Gruenhagen, Patrick Monroe, and Chris Seymour. So all these people, I mean, nobody's going to get any more than 5% of that crew. I mean, Gruenhagen might be able to get a few votes because of her dad's name and because of the name recognition. People would say, oh, Gruenhagen, heard that name before, so they might vote for her. Unfortunately, she was a Democrat in CD7, ran for CD7 twice as a Democrat. Now she's running as a Republican, wearing a MAGA hat. I'm not sure if that's a genuine shift either, so people need to be aware of that. But for these other candidates that are running between Patrick Monroe, Loner Blue, Chris Seymour, I mean, some of these people are perennials who run all the time. Some of them are new. Each one of them is not going to get any kind of momentum. So, I mean, really, this election is going to be close. I think that, it's just going to be probably 3 or 4 points that separates White and Fraser on this election. I think that White has a lot more momentum, and I'm giving Royce White the win on this one. I think it's going to go in his direction, but this is going to be close, and people need to get out there and vote and make sure their voice is heard.
Tucker says, $5 Rumble rant. I hope the plan for CD5 voters to switch over to Dems to vote against Ilhan Omar doesn't backfire on Royce.
Okay, we'll get right into that. It's actually on our agenda today. Is Tushi on the phone or on Zoom?
It looked like it was. Yeah, he. Yeah, he's.
Is he? Okay.
He's here.
Right. Tucker, hold that.
I'm here.
Gosh,
I've been here since.
Hold on a second. I don't have my earphones. Tucker, hold on. Thanks for the Rumble rant. Just I forgot. I lost track of time. And I had Tushi holding for 15 minutes. Okay.
You know how many I could have left in that time? Here, it's only about 30 seconds.
We can't hear him.
Okay. For those that are new to the show or don't watch too often, this is actually a political expert we have, Paul Tucci. Yep, that is your primary expert right there.
Yep.
We were going to start with the federal races, but I probably told you to come on way sooner than I should have. So let's preview the first Minnesota House race. We got Rhino Ron Krisha versus Deb Webb Skillings. Diane. What's wrong with me?
Deb Webb.
Deb Webb. Diane Webb Skillings. Sorry. Tell us what you're seeing up there, because I know you have helped her out.
Well, as we say in the voicemail, there are some key differences between the two Republican candidates. Diane Webb Skillings is a staunch conservative, 100% pro-life, 100% pro-gun, and 100% pro-constitution. That's exactly why Diane's been endorsed by Steve Wenzel and Senator Nathan Wiesenberg. Ron Krisha is a pro-Democrat moderate who authored a bill to spend $5 million of taxpayer money to pay for legal services for illegal immigrants, and voted for abortion money and gun control. Anyway, Jake, you like the voicemail. I've lost a chance to 25 of them while waiting online for you here. It's going pretty well.
Who am I even talking to here? What? Did you literally write a script for this show?
No, that's the script we've been leaving on thousands of voicemails. See, contrary to what folks up in Aiken think, you don't win elections by making memes on Facebook and posting Diane Facebook profile and things like that, things of that nature. You actually have to call and go to their doors and stuff. So that's what we've been doing.
What are you hearing at the door?
We're hearing great responses. I mean, it definitely depends on where you're at. In the rural areas, I mean, people are so sick of Rhino Ron. They're sick of his gun control. They're sick of his illegal immigrants. They're sick of his abortion funding, and they're ready for change. Like, the rural areas are hardcore. Little Falls has been a lot more muted response. The Little Falls areas, there's a lot of people just, we'll look into it, and they take all the information. But the Steve Wenzel endorsement has been pretty key there. So the people that we've been able to reach, we have very positive responses, and I'm hopeful.
You're hopeful. Okay, gotcha. So it looks like it is a nail biter, but maybe Diane Webb Skillings could pull it off tonight in House District 10A. Do I have 10A right?
Correct.
Okay, 10A. Good. Well, thanks for that excellent update. By the way, before we let you go, Tushi, any thoughts on these federal races, Ram versus Tayreb?
Well, Yeah, I think I gave my responses or my thoughts privately already. But yeah, I did make a quick trip home on Thursday right after the show. I ran down to my local town hall to vote for Taylor Rahm and Royce White. So I'm predicting a Royce White victory. I'm not predicting a Rahm victory, but I'm hoping for one, just because screw Tom Emmer. But I also, the viewers of the post show will know, and it would be a reason for future subscribers to subscribe to the post show so they can get the information ahead of time. But viewers of the post show will know that I actually door knocked Taylor Rahm's grandparents up here, talking about Rhino Ron Kreischer, and they were well aware of how swampy the Republican Party is because they told me how swampy Tom Emmer was and how their grandson got the shaft. So that was a very interesting discussion. But I was happy to.
I thought they said that their grandson's opponent got the shaft.
Well, something along those lines. Yeah, something along those lines. I guess apparently, according to what they were led to believe, Tom Emmer wanted the gay guy to be. So we'll see if maybe Tom Emmer knows something intimately that the rest of us don't. But yeah, I'm also hoping for Royce victory. I saw Royce most recently up in Mille Lacs here about a week ago. It was 8 days ago. And was he on fire that night? Holy cow! He was really on fire in Malacca. So, good time. I predict him to win the primary, and I think it will be a very interesting election season. And can you imagine if he manages to beat Klobuchar the Senate hearings next year?
Oh, that would be interesting, no doubt about it.
That would be amazing.
Douchey, thanks so much for your expert opinion on these races. Take care.
We'll get back to the get out the vote call for Diane Webb Skillings. If you want to help me out, just people know where to reach me.
Okay, thanks. I can't.
Do they know where to reach?
I just know too much. I know too much. Underslept Tushy is maybe as funny as they get.
That was very funny, yeah.
Oh my God, you guys, Bridget, remind me to show you the video he sent me earlier of him doing that. Oh my gosh. They don't make him like Paul Tushy. Oh,
I missed all of it.
Oh,
I couldn't hear any of it.
You couldn't.
Oh, seriously?
Well, your thing, you just have to plug in your thing.
No, I tried mixing these up, and yeah, neither of the headphones are working.
By the way, I don't know if you knew this. We had Daily Wire filming in here last night. Daily Wire came into Minnesota. They had a focus
Did they?
group. They used their studio. Yeah,
That's cool.
So that's probably why we had put everything back together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had the whole set down.
Do they have anybody interesting with him that's a big name? Or just
Steve Wenzel. I had the guy's so nice. He's like 81 years
so
old.
confused right now.
He calls. I knew he was on the focus group. He calls office, and I hear Dawson talking to this guy. He's like, "And your name's Steve?" And I'm like, "Oh, I think it's Steve Witt." So I take over the phone call for the next 10 minutes. I give him the play-by-play how to drive from Little Falls to Rose to our headquarters because he doesn't do phones.
Oh, wow.
He's the sweetest old guy in the world. Oh my God. Oh shit.
And he made it
so
in
he was
time?
there. My friend Mike was on the panel. I don't know.
He made it in time. He was like an hour and a half early.
Wow.
You know what he called?
Okay,
He said, "I'm about to leave.
That's impressive.
I'm about to leave because I want to get there." It's like, oh shit, this guy's gonna show up, and we're gonna have to like babysit for a couple hours. Oh, Byron.
What are they using it for? What were they filming?
They're doing a focus group on people's thoughts on Tim Walz, and they couldn't find a Democrat that wanted to talk about Tim Walz. So I think they had mostly moderates and
Steve
conservatives.
was a Democrat.
There
Was
you go.
he?
Steve
Yeah.
was
Oh, cool.
a Democrat. Byron Nephidius or
Greetings.
Byron Nephidius. Is that like some game
Byron
name or
of
something?
Sidious.
All right, greetings from Savage.
Sidious.
Greetings to you too. I've never seen that name before, so it looks like we got a new viewer.
Savage.
Yeah, let's get to. Sorry, I'm just having such a good time today. Let's get to. What was
The CD5.
Tucker? Yeah, Tucker
Yeah.
had the CD5. He had a Rumble rant. By the way, if you want to interrupt us anytime, just hit that Rumble rant. You can pay to move us on to a different topic. So we were going to talk about this, and I'm glad you brought it up. Don Samuels versus Ilhan Omar.
Right.
In Minnesota, the law is you can only stay on one side of a ballot. You'll see the Democrats. Boy, it was tempting to vote for Old Savior against Amy Klobuchar in the primary, but I didn't do it. But a lot of people are saying you don't have anything in CD5 to vote for, so switch over and vote for Don Samuels. What are your thoughts on that there, Megan?
I think it's a terrible idea. Let's go ahead and pull up on line 12 there, Dawson. It's Laura Loomer. There's a tweet that I want to pull up of hers because she is one of the people who is pushing this idea. So she says, good luck to add Don Samuels MN today. He's a Democrat running against Ilhan in her primary. I'm sure we don't agree on everything, but I see his desire to run is rooted in his wish to see people represented by someone whose allegiance isn't to Hamas. And so I hope Don Samuels wins his election today and unseats Ilhan Omar. If you live in Minnesota's 5th Congressional District, vote for him today. I think this is an awful, god-awful idea. I don't know why Laura Loomer, it shows some people should not be strategists. And unfortunately, Royce White is promoting this idea too. I think that a lot of people are getting in their heads that they hate Ilhan so much and they can't understand why she continues to get in there. But this is a terrible idea because, especially for Royce White needs to be telling people, vote in the Republican primary for Royce White. Hold on.
Go back to Twitter. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm just going to have a good time today, and I'm going to be laughing my ass off. Look at Laura. It says relevant people on the top. So it's got Don Samuel. No, it's even funnier. So it says investigative journalist, founder of Loomer, host of Loomer Unleashed, former Project Veritas operative, and then it goes America first, but it's got the Jewish symbol behind it. And then feisty Jewish receipt queen. Oh my God, she is a piece of work.
I'm actually a fan.
I like Laura Loomer a lot, actually.
Do you really?
I'm not like opposed to Laura Loomer. I just think this is an awful idea because think about what are Republicans, what are conservatives, what are liberty people gaining out of Don Samuels being in there? Because if anything, he's going to be even more establishment, more crooked, and more aligned with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of those crooks than Ilhan Omar is. Ilhan Omar is at least partially anti-war. There's a couple of things where she's anti-establishment. Obviously, she's crazy. But I would rather have crazy than corrupt. And Don Samuels is much worse. And all he's going to, Republicans gain absolutely nothing out of him being in there. I think it's such a bad move. I think the Republicans should use their vote in a Republican primary. I think that, Ilhan Omar, also, I think it's very important for Republicans. Why don't Republicans and conservatives say, hey, Democrats, you guys are forced to stand behind Ilhan. Think about all the money that Republicans rake in on behalf of Ilhan Omar. They get to use her as the campaign and say, look at what the Democrats are. Look at what they stand for. Look at who they are. That's all gone if you take out Ilhan Omar. We have to be able to villainize these Democrats, and the best person to be able to do it with is with Ilhan Omar marrying her brother. So, when you look at what's going on, I say, if Republicans are going to cross over in CD5, I'm going to tell you, vote for Ilhan because Ilhan is a better vote than Don Samuels any day of the week.
Oh, my God. You just dropped a bomb here. Now, this is literally Operation Chaos because
I prefer
you're still
Ilhan
telling
to
them to
Don
switch
Samuels.
over, but go Ilhan. I have a theory on this, by the way. Okay, you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got a crush on Ilhan Omar.
Who, me?
Yes. It's rare you see that kind of passion about anything other than Trump.
Well,
she is a good-looking black woman.
It's
Somali
a
woman.
Well, it's not even really a binary choice in that Democratic primary. There are two other people who are running in that. Let me see. I know Nate Schluter is one of them. There's another name on here. Abina McKenzie. So those are the two other names. Both of them are going to get less than 1%. This is really between Don Samuels and Ilhan Omar. And, I'm just saying that when the two choices are laid in front of me, I'll take Ilhan every day of the week, twice on Sunday, because, of course, I of course, prefer Ilhan.
Am I right on this, Dawson?
And is it surprising that she's better to look at than a 78-year-old man? Of course we don't want Don Samuels. And Don Samuels stands for absolutely nothing. He's even more corrupt. He's even more crooked. So, like I said, if you're in CD5 and you're going to switch over, vote for Ilhan.
Do he infiltrated the CD5 Democrat convention? And
Jesse did?
Yeah, and he wore an Ilhan Omar shirt.
I even went into a non-binary bathroom. I had to go.
The commitment. I think he lit. She's bald. Come on, Jake, says Napkin Nate. Is she bald?
Cindy Lou says all Dems are corrupt.
No,
I don't think she's bald. She ties her hair up like everyone does.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Fake news. That's fake news, Napkin
North
Nate.
MN says Jesse's right. We cannot lose Royce. Fraser has zero ability to beat Amy K.
Well, see, that's the thing is if you switch over, then you can't vote for
that
Royce.
is a dumb strategy. Royce is telling people to do that.
So Laura Loomer once broke back Joe Fraser. So That's what's happening. That's
Right, I know. That's what
and
I'm
so
saying.
do you apparently, because you said go over and vote for your girlfriend.
I'm only doing that because Laura Loomer started it. I would have never told people to vote for Ilhan if Laura Loomer didn't start this.
But you've been waiting for the day you could
Laura
say
Loomer
that.
told people to vote for Dawn. I got to counteract that. Even though I like Laura, she's great, but yeah, this is such a stupid move.
Oh my God, Brad.
Yeah,
what is
Brad.
it?
Jesse endorsing Ilhan Omar. Never saw that coming.
Yo.
Dude, that's serious. There's a
I saw
picture.
that coming.
Well, Jesse's a
sure.
political nerd, so like literally, he was all excited. He got into the DFL convention in CD5, and then he wanted to like cozy up to Ilhan, so he wore his shirt, pretend like
I
he's
got a picture with her. Yeah.
a fanboy.
Gosh.
Yeah, no.
And honest to God, I don't know how much of it's a joke. I think he
Here's
really
the thing.
likes. But you
I
like the
politics.
entertainment of
right.
Ilhan
Politics.
Omar.
You know, if politics was boring, I wouldn't do it. Politics has to be fun. I want to be entertained. That's why I like the George Santoses. That's why I like the Ilhan Omars.
That's why you don't like Joe Fraser. It's no
right,
fun.
Exactly, because it's so boring. But but when I see someone like Ilhan and I see all the crazy stories and everything that she says, and she basically is supporting Hamas sometimes, and it's like, that's awesome. Why would I not want someone like that in Congress? She doesn't have any real power. She doesn't have any real, sway or anything. She's not going to get anything passed or done. So I'd rather have someone who's ineffective than someone who's going to be a good puppet for the establishment.
Well, that's actually a rational case because it's like supporting Hamas is such a stupid thing. Like, that's the problem. Is
they
like
got 5 of them in Congress. They got nothing.
Yeah, like how our views are. I mean, Dawson's a little different than us, but it's like people are getting this Israel thing way wrong. They're like, bomb the shit out of Palestine, women, children. Oh, it's just collateral damage. It's like, this is a problem. But then it's like we could unify with the left, but the left is like, oh, Hamas is like freedom fighters. Like, what, Hamas? It's a terrorist group. They're terrible.
Does Ilhan actually say she supports Hamas or just Palestine?
No, she doesn't, but she makes excuses, So people will try to ask her direct questions about Hamas and everything, and then she'll always kind of rearrange the question to make it what she wants to be asked rather than. So so she always plays the sleight. What's that expression?
Oh, sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
so
because I agree with her though. Don't bomb the heck out of Palestinians. I think it's stupid.
Right.
No, she's got a more rational foreign
she's
policy.
more rational than a lot of the Republicans.
Even if she comes from it from a very wrong way of looking at it. But I mean, literally, like. There was
you want to have that conflict in Congress. You want to have people from different sides of the perspective because you have 465 members of Congress, and of those people, you would hope that you at least have some diverging viewpoints on Israel, that not everybody thinks the exact same, because then a real debate can take place, and that way you can actually, it's not just an echo chamber, and that's why, you got to have these people in there. You got to have screwballs, because every once in a while, a broken clock is right twice a day. So Ilhan Omar, every once in a while, she's going to be saying some stuff where you go, hey, she's saying something that the Republicans don't have the balls to say. Very rarely, but, when it comes to Israel or something else. So, yeah, like I said.
She says things that Lee Finke has the balls to say, but doesn't do it.
Right.
Okay.
What is Love Minnesota saying? This is
Speaking
interesting.
of random sexuals, non-binaries, and etc., Kourtney Kardashian has just come out as autosexual, whatever the heck that is.
Google that, Dawson. We are going to go off on a sidetrack.
I think it's
the sidetrack. This sidetrack is brought to you by Yes Solutions.
Oh my gosh, you can't. Okay, hold on. Let me get the other thing ready. Okay, cool.
For all your shipping needs, whether you're shipping just one pallet or multiple truckloads, you got to give Yes Solutions a call. Call Kyle at 651-797-2451. It was off my screen. That's Kyle. This company is owned by the Patriot, Carla Nelson. Once again, great shipping experts. Give them a call when you need to. Give them a call. Brad Kessler says, be sure to call Kyle. That's right. All right. Tucker, Palestine, Hamas. What's the difference? There's a big difference.
That's what I was going to say. That is such that comment. A huge difference. Palestine is many innocent civilians, and Hamas are actual terrorists.
There you go.
So that's a huge difference. I don't understand that. Blows my mind. I'm like, how can anybody support the bombing of Palestinians? I just don't get it. Like they're literally innocent,
well, we got a guy that would do it right there. Deep State Dawson.
Any bombing, I'm like, I agree. Like, why would you bomb? I don't agree with bombing Israelis. I don't agree with bombing Palestinians. Unnecessary death. I'm like,
we're acting like there's not a guy that would argue that. Dawson, go ahead.
It's absolutely crazy.
Your argument.
Like, you're essentially a murderer then if you're advocating for that.
Well,
he's not a murderer. He's advocating.
Well, you're advocating for it.
He just wants other people to do it for him.
Go ahead,
genocide,
Dawson.
essentially.
Well, there you go. That's
my argument is that there's no other option than to wipe Hamas completely from the planet.
What about the people, though? You got to wipe the
you
people
don't
out on
just-
top of
the
that.
I don't think
the
there's any
people in
excuse for
Hamas
just-
too, yeah. But then when it comes to the civilians, that's where it's like would I wipe out a Hamas supporter too? I don't know. Like even the far lefties on the U of M campus that were pro Hamas for a little bit, I don't think I'd wipe them out. But like the families living in Palestine who are pro Hamas because they're freedom fighting for them, that's where I'm not entirely sure yet. So I don't think that it's good to wipe Palestine completely off the map. I don't think that's the best thing to do. I say Israel pushes all Palestinians into Egypt. It says you're taking them.
Egypt doesn't want them.
It doesn't matter. Take it, or else you're having a war with Israel, and then lose
So
it.
you believe in just a one
push them to
one
Egypt so they
state?
can get killed there.
Well, if Egypt's gonna kill them, that's not good. Then we should probably be anti-Egypt. But clearly, there's an issue
Israel
with Israel.
starting it. You're
Yeah,
saying
that's what I
Israel
just
should push
don't
them, and then
get.
it's Egypt's fault if they kill them.
I'm like, there's a lot of innocent people living in that area that do not deserve being bombed and
Oh,
being
then
treated like
they
that.
should move to Egypt. It's pretty nice over there.
They can't.
Well,
F's-
let's help them out.
Let's go back. Let's save this for the end of the show because it's interesting, but I don't want to get too sidetracked. Even though I'm going to do the Kourtney Kardashian. FSAS says will not vote for anyone doing a communist fist clench at George Floyd event. Sorry, I'm interested. I mean, I think that's a rational standpoint because this is on Royce's, history.
But
My
I
thinking
don't
is
think the fist up is a communist thing entirely. I mean, like,
No.
when I think about the fist up, I think about Trump. So I don't think that's just a
yeah,
pure
but he's
symbol.
referring to
and
the
is
Black
it
Lives
Garrett-
Matter,
No,
like
I know,
that was
Was
a
it
Marxist
absolutely
movement.
without a doubt a Black Lives Matter rally? Because wasn't he saying that he didn't go to Black Lives Matter? It was
No,
actually,
but I don't think that's accurate.
don't buy that?
I know,
but
that's what he's
That's not
saying.
exactly what he was saying.
I'm
He was-
curious if anyone else agrees
Wasn't he
with
saying that was his event, that it was like marching to the Fed and he was actually organizing his
Yes,
own?
but so I think he must have had some bit of a conversion during it to give him some credit.
I just looked up Royce White BLM, and this is what pops up.
Yeah, I mean that's you know what that is, right? Like that was a common symbolic
Yeah, I mean the
move
Black
during
Fist
Black
is
Lives
literally
Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Yeah.
In fact, to the point
it's true.
where they were like trying to go to white people and tell them they must, what was it like? They must put their fist in the air too, or something like that. Remember that?
Yeah, there were
infamous-
videos of people going,
awful.
going to restaurants and
Yeah.
you got to say it with us, and some people had the balls to say, no, I'm not doing it,
Yeah.
and for the most part, most of these protesters are all talk anyway. They all
Yes.
want to act tough, but they don't. The only time they would ever get physical is if they can gang up on someone. They don't have the toughness in them.
When those riots were happening, I was actually living in the neighborhoods that were like right next to the ones getting burnt down. Like the Target that was getting looted and stuff was my Target that I would go to during college. It was super freaky. My
Oh, yeah.
girlfriend at the time was like she was very pro BLM, and she's just some white chick, and it was weird how she would come to me and be like, you should do this too, and then she'd put the BLM flag up. It was weird.
So much.
I did laugh at that.
What?
Oh, Dawson, that was great.
She
was
was.
not very
She's just
happy
some white
about-
chick.
She was not very happy about where
She-
you worked.
She went to a very liberal school, though.
I know.
So.
I just think it's so funny. It's like Dawson's so apolitical, although you've become a little more political, I think, being around us. But it's like she just was not having anything. Well, I guess her friend circles didn't really care about you being a part of what we're doing. It's just like,
Oh, but this was before I worked here.
Do most of your friends know what you do for work?
I think nobody really knows what I do for work. My girlfriend does. My
funny.
parents do.
whoa, you said he had friends though.
Yeah.
Well, he just
No, I'm
was
just
talking about his friends.
I'm
so
charismatic looking enough to have friends, so maybe.
His girlfriend's a sweetheart, by the way.
She's great.
Stopped by a couple
She's-
times, so
Awesome.
yeah.
She's
All right, so now she watches. He's just covering his bases. All right, so Kourtney Kardashian, what is this thing?
So I was looking it up, and it's like what happened was Kourtney Kardashian appears to come out as
Okay, we're moving on.
autosexual. Yeah.
We're
It's-
moving on. I could just hear a great listener of ours going, really? I thought we were talking about primary races, and now we're talking about Kourtney Kardashian. I forgot that she wasn't even the famous one.
Yeah, no.
She's
yeah,
the sister of
that's
the
why,
famous
That's
one.
why she's doing it, so that she can try to.
Probably.
be the
That's
famous one.
exactly. And they do this in politics, too. All right, moving on. Fishbach versus Boyd. Wow, we're 48 minutes in, and we're finally talking about the most heated congressional race. Pull up this, was it KARE 11, just so you guys get the image. Michelle Fishbach, who's a rhino, is running in CD7.
This is the only image that exists of Steve Boyd. I swear, I can't find any.
When you get a
other
good
ones.
image, you just go with it, right?
That's a very dude thing to do. So makes
that's
sense.
true. Anyhow, we've had Steve Boyd on the show a lot. There's very few candidates that I actually really like, that I truly believe in. I think this guy's got his head in the right direction. Will he take on the behemoth today and beat Michelle Fischbach? Thoughts, Jesse?
He's just up against so much money, and she's obviously put a ton of money into the advertising. The MNGOP has been doing work for her by sending out mailers saying, vote for Michelle Fischbach, even though she's not endorsed. I think that obviously Michelle Fischbach probably has the lead on this one, and I'd love to see Steve Boyd win it, though, and he's obviously been putting in the work. He's been doing everything that a campaign would need to do to unseat a congresswoman, but obviously there's a lot of dynamics at play. Trump has already endorsed Fischbach, so
again and again and again, and he just did it again. Another round of stupid fake endorsements by Donald Trump last night again, just taking the marching orders from Tom Emmer.
No.
That's exactly
he's
what.
not taking
hold on, it's not.
orders.
We know.
I know, but don't classify it like that.
Well,
Trump
that's what it
isn't
is,
taking-
Jesse.
No,
That's what it is.
No, it isn't.
You don't
No,
think
it
Tom
isn't.
Emmer's like, hey,
Emmer
Trump
takes
team,
orders
I need
from Trump.
truth. I need truth
It's not
endorsements.
taking marching orders from Emmer. That's
You don't think
never
so?
how I'd classify
Well, I'm
it,
not
no.
saying Trump is, by the way. I'm saying whoever's managing social media.
Whoever's
I need this.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I don't think Trump gives a crap about it, right? Like he's not like in the weeds in Minnesota congressional politics, right? But you got to admit, Tom Emmer is pulling some strings with the Trump campaign and going, "Hey, we need to
I can
remind
totally believe
everyone."
that.
Yeah, it's totally
Yeah, I
believable,
think
right?
so.
Yeah, there's some of that going on, but I mean, obviously, I don't think that Trump trusts Emmer. I mean, that's no surprise. He called him a globalist rhino who should never be speaker. So I'm not too convinced that Trump or anyone on his team is taking orders from Emmer. I think that it's more Trump sees the benefit and the money that's coming from Emmer.
Well, here's my thought. Steve Boyd pulls this off. What a awesome miracle, right? Like, great story. Steve, if you're listening, do not leave. Do not get out of politics. You went right up to Congress. You had a good, solid chance at winning the endorsement. You're up against the Emmer machine.
And he would have won the
has
endorsement.
infiltrated the Trump campaign. And you are up against the GOP sending out mailers saying we need to reelect Michelle Fischbach. You're up against literally Otterdale County, I think, was stacked against you. This is why they did the thing in Otterdale County. Do not go. You are a solid man and a guy that needs to continue running. Because that's the thing is like Royce White's got questionable things in the past. What did they find on Steve Boyd? Did he ever even have a speeding ticket? Right? Like, did he get a parking ticket one?
They went after him for being a Christian.
Yeah, that's what
wow.
that was their attack on him. He's a Christian nationalist. Like, that's their attack on Steve Boyd.
You're like, good. I'm proud of that.
Exactly. Lovely wife,
dumb.
beautiful family, adopted children, helping others adopt, constitutionally based, devout Christian. I mean, if there was dirt on Steve Boyd, you don't think that would have came out? So do not go anywhere, Steve. We need people like you running because
Minnesota says Boyd is impeccable.
Yeah, I have faith. I wish I was in CD7. I would very gladly cast and do more to make sure he's successful. But once again, it takes sometimes multiple elections to do it. And so, yeah, I 100%. Yeah, they're North Minnesota. 100% don't quit, Steve Boyd. Yeah, and you always got an audience here.
Isn't he
come
a
on our
business
show
owner
anytime.
too?
What's that?
Did he say he's a small business owner?
Yeah, he's a small business owner. He owns like is it lawn care or landscaping? I can't remember which
Okay.
one. Maybe it's both. Or fertilizers. Does like fertilizing in yards.
That's cool.
So yeah, I think he's up Alexandria area is a big market for him. Okay, Ram Tayrab. Any chance Ram? What is the? No, there is a chance, but what's the chance? Taylor Ram, who dropped out to take that senior advising position for the Trump campaign, which we haven't seen any mention of since then. Any chance he still wins tonight?
I'll give him a 10% chance.
10%.
90% chance Tayrab takes it. But I mean, if I was in CD2, I would be going and voting for Taylor Ram, even though he's a quitter who, backstabbed his voters to benefit Tom Emmer. So that's Taylor Ram, for him to drop out after getting all these people riled up and all these people excited for his campaign, just to drop out of the race and say, let's actually get behind Joe Tayrab, who lied about, saying he would only abide by the endorsement, who's big time in favor of the Ukraine war, who's a big time globalist. So, the fact that Taylor Ron backstabbed everybody is not okay. But if I was in CD2, he'd still have my vote because there's no way I'd vote for Tayrab.
All right. Emmer, Stauber, Finstead all have primary challenges. None of them are big. We had I really like Chris Corey. That guy's cool. Shit.
Yeah.
But
I know, and that's the thing, of course. Trump would like a golf caddy a lot more than he likes a globalist rhino. So I think that Chris Corey isn't a bad option. I hope that people do some research. I hope that he does well. Obviously, he's got, tens of millions of dollars against him, and he's got, Tom Emmer, who's a career politician. He's up against a whole lot. But, I mean, the fact that Chris Corey, this is what should have happened on CD6 endorsing convention. I mean, this is the choice that really should have been given to the people then. Chris Corey said he would have abided by the endorsement if it was fair. But then they rigged it and wouldn't even allow people to vote for him. They wouldn't even allow Chris Corey to speak. So this is the vote that should have taken place on CD6's convention. People are finally given the opportunity that the voters should have had then. So, people have the opportunity for the first time in a long time to vote for a conservative in the primary against Tom Emmer. So it's the first time he's been challenged in a primary for a while. So I appreciate that Chris Corey stepped up to the plate and did it.
Wow.
Bad at Harry, thank you. $100. Welcome back, Bridget Dinner.
Nice.
Sorry, that's $100 Rumble Rant. You got to put a little more energy into that there, Bridget.
Thank you very much. I mean,
you got to be like, Bad at Harry threw us $100. Welcome back, Bridget Dinner. Wait, what does that mean? Welcome back, Bridget Dinner?
I think he's getting her dinner.
Do we have to go
100.
get dinner? We have to go get wings for me to eat on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what he's saying? Is he saying, oh, wait, we're doing a Welcome Back Bridget dinner? What
I
is
have no
Bad
idea.
at Harry's? That is an expensive Rumble Rant. You're going to probably have to do another $100 rant to clarify that.
Oh, gosh, Jake, don't push it.
What's $100? That's Olive Garden, right? For all four of us? Something like
Think,
that?
Oh, gosh, dinner date for Jesse and Bridget.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so cute. Sorry, unfortunately, he's got a thing for Ilan Omar.
Yeah, that's
right.
true. Jesse,
That would
I don't
be
know,
that would be
Jesse,
a
I
date.
would buy that.
That's a date with Jesse right there. Think about this.
Yeah.
So a girl would be like, "Hey, so tell me more about you." Well, did you see what Trump put on Truth Social last night? And then she'd be like, "Yeah, I like to vote." And then she'd be like, "I also like puppies." And Jesse would go back, "Well, Trump doesn't really like puppies."
Jesse.
No, you go on about that. No, I think that's ridiculous. I think the way that you think my mind works is completely opposite.
No,
of
that's what
how
we
my
get.
mind
That's what
actually works.
we literally are in planning meetings, and Jesse's like looking this way, and he's like ready to talk. I'm like, "Okay, what's he got?" And he's like, "Did you see what Trump put on social media today?" I was like, "What? You've been thinking about Trump this whole time?"
Which, really quick, speaking of, he's officially back on X, right?
Oh my gosh!
What?
Look at that!
Wow. Okay, that's crazy.
Oh my God! It's a spinning
suppose
spring
it
on the
does.
Truth Earth show today.
Whatever the crew wants.
for
Keep going,
dinner?
Jake.
All right, you know what? And I was watching Austin Peterson. Awesome, fun to do his show. By the way, it was 8 a.m. yesterday. I remember following him back during the Libertarian thing. He does this thing on the show where
Yeah, I liked him for a while too until he kicked me out of his Facebook group. Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm saying. You see it? You just saw it. He's like,
nothing to do with
oh, but
Trump."
Austin Peterson, he
Yeah.
kicked me off social media.
Why did he kick you out of his group?
because he was running for Senate, and I had the audacity to say, "Hey, you can't just post memes on Facebook and expect to win a U.S. Senate primary."
Oh.
And I was being constructive. I was trying to help. I was saying, "Hey, go out and knock some doors." But yeah, apparently that's too much for him to do. But I'm glad you had a good show with him, Jake.
Austin, you owe Mega Jesse an apology.
He
How
does.
dare you?
Tucker
But-
says, us in the chat are going to have to start stepping our game up.
Oh my God!
I
No,
agree.
so what I was getting at is Austin has this thing where you can unlock extra hours, and since locals is not working today, Bad at Harry just unlocked the extra hours, the extra showtime or whatever.
Wait, so he'll just go on?
He'll like do an extra part of the show.
Yeah, so it's called a subathon. They happen with Twitch a lot. It's if someone follows, you add 10 minutes to the end of your stream.
Really?
If someone subscribes to you, you add 30 minutes.
Oh my God! I can hear Brad Ganser to
30
go.
minutes.
How much do I donate to get him to shut up earlier?
Yeah, Brad. Brad needs to step up his game. At least 250.
Yeah, Brad, you cheapo.
Yeah.
Well, so whatever the crew wants, says Bad Hat Harry.
Oh, I think he's trying to buy us dinner. Do I owe you guys dinner?
I think that's a good idea.
I owe
think it's a good
Tushy
idea.
wings dinner. And,
On top of Janice? Of
No,
Janice.
yeah, because it was Tushy and I go way back, and I was gonna buy him dinner, and he couldn't do it the other night because he's very busy. He's very dedicated to politics. So I owe him a dinner. So, okay, now I guess I owe you guys a dinner. Or Bad Head Harry, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. That is kind.
Alrighty, let's get to the next. We got some Minnesota House races. This show is going incredibly long, but I hope you guys are enjoying it. I am really enjoying this show. I'm having so many laughs. All right, well, speaking of laughs, let's do this one. Grayson McNew versus Wayne Johnson.
I forgot Grayson was running.
Yeah, but this is a funnier one. Is this guy Wayne Johnson? He hates Action for Liberty. It's like they live rent free in his head. We got an article here. Yeah, pull this one up.
Yeah, I attached that article in there just because I wanted to remind people of who Wayne Johnson is, because this is the guy who said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to abide by the endorsement." This is the same district and area that Tony Jurgens pulled his little stunt in. So the BPOU said, hey, we got to make sure this guy's on record saying that he's going to abide by the endorsement. So Wayne Johnson signed his name onto that very pledge saying, yes, I am going to abide by the endorsement. Well, up until the moment that he lost the endorsement, then he decides at first he was going to run as an independent against Grayson, to really screw up the entire district to make sure the Democrat wins. And then eventually he decided to come back home to the Republican Party, where he was never really welcomed in the first place because he lost the endorsement. And he's got lots of pictures on social media where he's hanging out with Tyron Tim Walz, Betty McCollum, Amy Klobuchar. So that's the kind of guy that Wayne Johnson is. He prefers to hang out with these Democrat politicians. He's an establishment guy. And, like you said, this guy's a little bit unhinged. When you go on his Facebook page, you think, this guy's probably had a few too many drinks tonight. What is this guy talking about? Because he claims everything, Action for Liberty rigged the BPOU. And, it's like, what are you talking about, man? This guy is just going off the deep end. And I think that Grayson is going to beat this Wayne Johnson just because Wayne Johnson, when people look at him, they go, this guy's not ready for prime time. This guy's a little screwy. And Grayson seems to have been doing everything right to win this thing. It's still going to be close, but I give Grayson the win on this.
We call that night clawing. Means he's drinking White Claw at night.
Yeah, right.
Because he looks like the type that probably does drink a seltzer.
I think there's a new person in our comments, Jay Courier.
Hey, Jay Courier.
Rhino Wayne Johnson put out a provably false ad listing Minnesota Chamber support as GOP endorsement. McNew campaign put out press release, but the story has been buried. Vote McNew in 41A.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, we know Grayson. We've had Grayson on the show. Grayson's awesome. I love Grayson.
Is his district, if he wins the primary, will he win in the general?
Oh, yeah. This is a swing district.
Oh,
it's tough.
It's my district. I voted for Grayson this morning.
Yours.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's currently a Republican district, but right, it came between 2 points or whatever last time. So
wow.
It's close.
It's close.
Because is Mark Veens, who I served with in Iraq, I actually know Mark. He ran for the first time in 2022. He won it by small margin and decided he's going to run for Washington County now. So he's running for commissioner. And so Grayson and Wayne are trying to fight for that seat. But, I mean, the Democrats have a good shake at that. Like, my district, there's many Lake Elmonians. And we go down to Cottage Grove as well, and then Afton. There's some goofiness. There's some lefties that moved in the area. Most of my district's good, though. All right. We got Jimmy Gordon versus Rhino Brian Johnson. What do we know about this race?
Right, yeah. Santee Mayor Jimmy Gordon is running.
Oh,
against,
hey, I think I know who Jay Courier is. He just texted me, John. Good to see you, John.
Oh,
Oh,
I
nice.
assume that's who it is.
But yeah,
we just read your comment, John. You don't need to text me it too.
Let's go ahead and pull up the link on line 16 there, Dawson, because that is going to be showing us a story about how the corrupt party unit of the HRCC, which is a party unit of the MNGOP, which is supposed to abide by the endorsement process, has been backing these three rhinos with different mailers. We've been reporting on, all of the different mailers as they've been coming in. This is just an example where we're pointing out all of the flaws with all three of these people, because each one of them, I think in total, they have a combined of the three people there. They've spent a combined 50 years in the state house. That is not the kind of crew that we need to continue to stay in there. Rhino Ron Creasy, he's known for working with all these liberals and everything. Greg Davids, all of them, they're up against conservative challengers who, in two of the cases, were endorsed. In Rhino Ron's case, he was not able to win the endorsement either, so no endorsement was made in the 10A race. But despite that, the MNGOP has been listed on some of these flyers. The MNGOP denies, any involvement in these types of things, but it's unacceptable. So, all three of these races are going to be interesting between Greg Davids and Stewart, and then Jimmy Gordon, Brian Johnson, Rhino Ron Creasy, Diane Webb Skillings. But each one of those are three perfect examples of an anti-establishment outsider taking on a career politician insider who has been working with the left way too much. So I'm hopeful on all those races. I mean, each one of them is going to be very difficult. And because the party has been using resources to back the unendorsed RINOs, that's the only reason that they might go over the edges, because of name recognition and because the MNGOP has been helping them when they didn't deserve any help.
Isn't that I I guess it's not illegal, is it?
Right, it's just a violation of the Minnesota GOP Constitution,
so
and then
dumb.
courts rule that party units are not obligated to, that the government can't do anything about it. So it's ridiculous.
It's pointless. What's the point of an endorsement then? At that point,
Right.
you might as well just select your candidates that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So stupid.
I'm browsing through Twitter. Did the Trump and Elon Musk interview that they had, did they talk about Project 2025 at all?
I don't know.
I didn't listen to the whole thing.
But by the way, that's kind of died down, because remember, the Democrats are just grabbing for anything that worked back in the implosion of Joe Biden. Once Joe Biden got out, I mean, they've shut up about 2025 because they didn't need the boogeyman
Well,
anymore.
also probably Trump kind of put it out there, I have nothing to do with this. I don't know what they're talking about. Kind of backed away from it.
I disagree with that, Bridget. I don't think that mattered to them. They just
don't think so?
No, they kept attributing it to him. He was out right away saying, I have nothing to do with this, and it didn't matter. They were just going to see. This is the thing about Republicans. Stop answering and changing your behavior.
Yeah,
because
I agree with that with Trump.
Because they don't care. They have no honesty.
Anyways.
Yeah, but he wasn't behind Project 2025, so he wasn't changing his stance.
I know, but I'm saying don't even there's no point in even doing it, because they're going to lie about it anyhow.
Yeah.
I'll never forget Republicans in Minnesota House. They funded, they grew the budget of the Minnesota Department of Education, increased spending, all that kind of stuff. They're for school choice and holding these people accountable. Mm-hmm. And as soon as they do this historic funding for education, Democrats do a press conference go, I don't think Republicans want to fund public education. Mm-hmm. It's just false, but they're going to say it anyhow.
Right.
You said that they aren't talking about Project 2025 anymore, but they just the Harris Walls whatever campaign put out a statement yesterday about the Musk and Trump Twitter thing, the Twitter space, and they were saying Donald Trump's extremism and dangerous Project 2025 agenda is a feature, not a glitch of his campaign, and that was 12.
So dumb.
So that's why I was curious.
I guess they're still using
what is the main gist of Project 2025, though, anyways? It's not even that insane, is it?
Well, we don't know, Bridget, because it's 1,000 pages long.
Yeah, it is 1,000 pages long. But when you first, I don't know, it sounds like their main thing is just to replace the people in the government with Trump supporters or Trump-leaning people.
Mm-hmm. They got a whole agenda. I read the one on the Federal Reserve, and they're off. They're not doing anything fundamentally different. By the way, go back up there. It says Walls COVID is trending. But my friend Lisa Zarza was on. Fox
I
and Friends
just saw
this
The Hill. The Hill just put out a great video, kind of detailing all of the corrupt things that Walls was doing during COVID and everything. So there's a lot of people who are going on the attack for what Walls was doing in Minnesota for all this. And yeah, I mean,
Lisa Hansen.
The fact that Lives of TikTok, that's a huge account, is talking about Lisa Hansen.
That's awesome.
That's huge.
Oh, that is cool. Failed candidate is roasting you, Jake. Sad that Dawson is the news source.
if you want truth news, that's right here. Whatever they're doing out there, I don't know.
Well, let's be honest. That's part of what's nice about it. Dawson's not concerned. We're different opinions here. You got Dawson, who is more centrist. You got MAGA Jesse, who's MAGA Republican. Trump's great, and so is Ilhan Omar. Then you got me, principled libertarian, pro-liberty guy. Conservative, whatever you want to call me. And then you got Bridget. I don't know who to vote for in the primary.
Well, I'd figure it out. That was my plan.
It does get pretty useful, because over the weekend the AI whatever thing it was with Kamala Harris's thing, and you were like, what do you think, Dawson? And I was like, I don't think that it is AI, because
it would be such. I mean, essentially Janice would be right about everything. If they could fake a big rally in a hangar that with multiple people's accounts and camera angles.
But what are they doing? Because I just do not think that is all, that's not organic. There's no way that many people are showing up. I just don't believe it.
they're saying
Like, I
that it's
can't.
because they're bringing entertainers.
That's what I
music
heard,
artists.
but then it's like they don't seem to have any huge names. And then I saw Alex Jones saying the one rally, like they were promised free Taylor Swift tickets, and I was like, I don't know. There's no, I didn't see any proof for that.
I'm sure they don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like, I don't think, but
they
I
probably
just
do
don't.
have that kind of
well,
money.
I'm sure they have that
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of
Have
money,
you
but I
seen
don't
how
think
much
they
a
did
Taylor
that,
Swift
really.
ticket is, Jake?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Taylor
uh,
Swift is in with the Democrats.
Right.
She
Of course
is.
She would do, yeah, she would do something with them.
I mean, I could see her doing that.
Guys,
but
I think
you would
I-
need proof to actually see like an email or something.
Some
Or are they paid?
corroboration,
Are they
yeah.
all getting paid?
I think this actually has a very rational answer to it. Okay, so imagine you're the Democrats and you really care about elections, and you were watching this shit show of Joe Biden. I mean, let's be honest, it was way more than just the 3 weeks after the debate, but let's really focus in on the 3 weeks after the debate, where even the media had to admit that this guy is a walking vegetable. So,
But wasn't that the point of the debate?
that's what I would imagine, but not everyone's in on it, right? You're talking about like insiders, trying to throw him under the bus. Like, it really seems like that's what happened with him. And then they were able to just get him to say, no, we're not going to. They didn't even get him to say he's not running again. They actually put that out on his Twitter account.
Yeah.
The whole thing is absolutely nuts. He didn't even make a statement to the public. He had COVID. He withdrew from his. Everyone is like, we're going to move full speed ahead. Oh, Biden has COVID. He's got to cancel his Las Vegas rally. And then by Sunday, I think that was on Friday or Thursday, by Sunday, he is putting out a statement that he is not running again. What the hell? I mean, and they basically admitted it's Nancy Pelosi got him to do it. So it's like, this is insane. So if you're a Democrat, you're like, oh my God, we're going to lose to Trump. And then all of a sudden, they pull this maneuver and they're like Kamala, and the media doesn't ask her a damn question at all. She still really hasn't had any press ask her any tough questions. And the media's if you want to see how much the media is bought and paid for, just go to my Twitter account, by the way. Look at all the stuff on the AP. I've been posting this every other day. The AP, which you have to understand, the AP's reporting gets bought by all these newspapers and local media all over the country. And they are just a propaganda wing now for the left. Like what
Yeah,
they're
ABC, they put out a story saying, Trump's plan to cut the tax on tips is going to cost $250 million, yada, 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 how bad of an idea it is.
Yep.
They put out a story a couple of days later. Kamala Harris supports removing the tax on tips. And it's this great puff piece. So it's like, okay, so you use the same exact issue to attack Trump, and then you use the same issue to praise Kamala Harris, and you're supposed to be seen as some kind of unbiased news source. That's why all the media is just sold out at this point, and they're in the tank of the Democrat Party.
So if you're a Democrat and you just went from zero to we actually have a chance, we have somebody and the media is telling me how great she is, you're like, $25. Here you go. $50. I want support. I'm going to show up to this thing and listen to her. And by the way, she's probably not bad at rallies. The problem with Kamala Harris is eventually, I'm not so certain about this because they let freaking Biden campaign from his basement. But I think eventually she's going to actually have to debate Trump. It's insanity that they literally
they've
all
agreed to
said
one, but,
Trump was afraid to debate Kamala Harris. Really? He's afraid to debate Kamala Harris?
Didn't they plan? Isn't one planned right?
Oh, so the whole...
Isn't
so
it
he
kind of
had one with-
tentatively planned?
Right,
Yeah, he had one
they
with
have agreed
Biden,
to.
and then they changed it. So he's using a negotiating tactic. Anyone that doesn't understand that is just not being honest or being an idiot. He was using a negotiating tactic because you know what Trump wants to do? He actually wants to have a lot of debates with Kamala Harris because that's very good for him, right? And so he's like, no, we're not agreeing to this thing. So he wants to back out and bring a bunch in. So then the media all does the talking points there. Oh, Trump's afraid to debate Kamala. So Trump then says, I agree to this debate, which was with Biden, but I'll agree with those terms, which, by the way, doesn't have a live audience. What, Kamala can't do it in front of a live audience? She hasn't agreed to any of the other debates. She'll only do one with ABC, I think.
Right.
So she won't do Fox News, which Fox News beats these guys in ratings. So in other words, they don't want to debate. But eventually she's going to have to answer the press, and guess what's going to happen? People will be like, holy shit, she's actually just Joe Biden 2.0, and she's actually kind of ridiculous, and she's kind of stupid. I don't know if she's really stupid, but she really sounds stupid when it comes to media. We've poked fun at her all the time on the show. Like that one video of her with the NASA astronauts. Good job, guys. Space is so important, and you guys are doing wonderful. Like, so, well, she doesn't know what the hell their mission is. She's like just pretending.
I don't think that the Democrats will see it that way, though. I don't think that they'll
No,
look at her and
Democrats
be
won't.
like,
I'm saying the independents will. She's winning like the vast majority of battleground states. This is a very big problem as it exists right now in August.
But it's so crazy
13th.
because it's like the media can just paint this picture of who she is and people just believe it. And like you guys didn't like her just recently,
Right.
and now everyone supposedly
the
likes
honeymoon
her.
phase is coming to an end, though. People are going to come to the realization. I think normal, people who aren't really into politics, this is when they first kind of start paying attention to it. So now that the nominees are set, that's when people are really going to start researching. And the fact that Kamala and Walz haven't done a single interview since they've been the nominees is ridiculous, and it shows that they are afraid to answer tough questions in this moment.
So they're not doing a whole lot of press stuff right now, but just the last few days, or like the last week or whatever, I think that they're just going on a shit on Trump phase. Right?
Scripted
Like,
rallies.
Well,
Right.
Where she
I
gives
don't
the
know
same
what a
speech every time.
I don't know. Oh, no. I'm talking about like sort of like with Biden versus Trump back then. It was like, just let Biden keep talking because it's making him look like a fool.
Right.
I think that the Democrats are saying, oh, he's doing a Twitter space with Elon Musk and he's slurring his words and he sounds super. Just let him go. Let him do his thing. That's what I'm seeing on the left side. On the right side, it's like Kamala isn't talking. What is going on? AI campaign stuff. It's very weird. I've never.
But
seen
it's
a campaign
insane
like this.
that you could be. So she's never won a primary state, right? So she just was She was gifted this. They had a virtual roll call for her to actually get the nomination. So she's never won a primary state and never had to do an interview for the most important job on the planet. That's insanity. Dawson, pull up my Twitter account. Oh, you know what? Let me just do this. Let me send you the link. It might be easier to do that. I'm
Or
gonna
put it in the.
What's that?
Put it in the.
I'm gonna put it on line 29.
Okay.
So just pull mine up, and we're gonna go down. I'm gonna show you this from the AP, probably like 4 or 5 down here, and then we're gonna show you what Elon Musk just posted too. Keep going down right there. Okay, so this is from the AP. Click on that left image. On the campaign trail, Harris is pushing joy, while Trump paints a darker picture.
Is the AP like? Do they try to come across as unbiased?
Yeah, so historically, the Associated Press is supposed to be like your neutral, like fact-driven. Well, actually, go to the next picture. You see it right there on the top. Because I looked at this, I'm like, is this an opinion piece by the AP? And it's not. This is like literally their journalists. Look at the top. Support independent, fact-based journalism. You can't look at this and say that's not completely subjective. Go back to the other image. And I post this like every other day, just the propaganda. We could go through the best hits on the AP. On the campaign trail, Harris is pushing joy while Trump paints a darker picture. The reason it's so big on the AP is because the AP's material just get republished throughout the whole nation in local papers, any kind of media. They just republish it. So it's a massive reach. And it's very contrary to their mission when they were founded. Now go back up, Dawson. I just retweeted what Elon Musk put together. Looks like it comes from a count.
That reminds me. Did you see the thing? I can't remember where Trump said it, but he said that he was supported by Elon Musk full-throated. Did you see that? That made me laugh so hard.
Oh, that'd be
just a goofy slip, but oh man,
that would be pretty darn
goofy.
funny. Elon Musk is way to the top. I just shared it when I went here to. So this is all the negative press that Trump's received by doing spaces. And you see, I mean, we're talking about every major publication. Now, first of all, Kamala hasn't even done any press. Imagine she did press. Do you think you would see that for Kamala's one interview? No, not a chance. So it's just so clear and obvious that these guys are rigging. They're rigging the election by using their platform as media, which is why it's very important to have organizations like ours, news media, and it's not like we're just in the tank
the
for...
media is going to pretend like, once Trump's over with, then we're done doing this kind of stuff.
Yes, exactly.
But that's not true. They're always going to do this forever. Whenever they can choose who's in power, they're going to choose who's in power. So they want to pretend like this is a unique scenario where we have to stop fascism. The Democrats are the fascists. Trump is the one who's saying we need a smaller government. So, the media is obviously still in the pocket of the Democrats. That's the party that they've chosen. They're going to continue to, do that work. And it's not just about Trump. It's about defeating the MAGA movement.
If Kamala Walls win, that's so funny, Kamala Walls, then is Trump going to try to run again in 4 years?
Let's hope so.
That'd be crazy. He's going to, I mean, people live long sometimes, I guess, but I'll be old.
Yeah. No, let's just get it right this time.
Yeah.
And would he even have the energy? I mean, it's like you got to run out at some point, but maybe not.
I mean, yeah, if he probably shouldn't run in the next election just due to pure age, let's say, then by the end of his term, if he wins, he's going to be that age.
That's okay. It's the end of the term. It's not going into another 4 years.
Trump could run, but he would be so refuted, and he wouldn't win. He wouldn't win. There'd be too many people that abandon it. I mean, I would bet a lot of money on that.
He'd win the primary again.
No, I don't think he would. No, I don't think he'd win the primary.
Oh, yes, he would.
Oh, I don't. No, I would bet a lot of money he would not win the primary.
I don't think
because you look like a two-time loser, and the one thing that unifies Republicans is they want to be Democrats.
If it was like,
except for Broadcorp, who's not a Republican, by the way.
If it was pretty similar last time, where it's pretty darn clear that am I allowed to say this? We're on just on Rumble. Election was stolen. It's Rumble.
Oh, shit. No, we're on YouTube, too.
We are.
Well,
yeah.
I'm just saying
thanks a lot, Bridget.
That's okay. Whatever. Who cares about YouTube? If that's the case, though, like, he was so bitter about it afterwards, I just imagine he would be, like, insanely bitter about it again, which did kind of ruin Trump for a while. But he's back to kind of his old self now. And I don't think people really loved him as much when he was just super angry all the time.
Yeah.
And not really himself. So that would suck. But
it's going to be interesting.
Where do I want to go with this show here? We are.
Well, did we want to get into this Brian Curran thing?
Let's do that. Let's do that because no one's going to hear this anywhere else.
Right.
So I think we're done with the rest of them. Let's go Brian Curran.
For the most part.
And then I want to talk about
there's
Elon.
also Don Gilman versus Wayne Olson, which will be an interesting primary, but Don Gilman's going to win that one, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. But on line 20, Dawson, let's go ahead and pull up that Action for Liberty article so people know exactly who Brian Curran is, the gay former cop who was arrested with a DWI, who was driving drunk, and she is still running for re-election. Apparently, yeah, they. I'm not going by they. She's big enough to be a they, but she's a she. So she got her DWI, and so did Dan Wolgamott. So the Democrats, they seem to have.
Speaking of list, Dan Wolgamott.
Both of them
the cat
are running for re-election. In this particular case, Brian Curran has a challenger who is going against her for the nomination. Let's go ahead and pull up that on line 21 there, Dawson, because this guy TJ is running against Brian Curran. And from what I can tell, go ahead and click issues or something like that so that people can see, this guy is basically just a priorities. But this guy is just a standard line Democrat who big time, there's not really, I can't even find a single issue that would differentiate.
Well, hold on. Go back to that picture. Hold on. No, up a little bit. I can't see it. Up. No, the other way. No, keep going. Sorry, you got the cameras. This is what I was talking about. I got cameras in the way. You got to move it up a little bit.
Well, unfortunately, when you're on a show, you kind of have cameras in your face.
He kind of looks like a bro.
Yeah,
he looks scary.
Is he actually not a Democrat?
No, he's a Democrat, and from what I can tell, yeah, I can't find a single thing where he falls out of line with the Democrats. His website is basically just hey, look, I'm a normal guy. I'm running for office. I'm a standard line Democrat. Please vote for me in the primary. I don't think he's gone on the attack against Brian Curran at all, even though he should. He should be, maybe he is at the door telling people,
He's a stone
I don't
mason.
know if you know this, but Brian Curran got arrested with a DWI, and, so he's going to have a real chance of winning this thing because there's just a lot of bad press about Brian Curran. And for her to be a former cop to go get a DWI, it shows that she doesn't have any respect for the laws that she was enforcing. And, I think that this guy, TJ, might have a real shot at replacing her. I think that's probably going to be one of the only close elections on her. And I think it's going to be one of the only close Democratic primaries for the state house. I think that's going to be one to keep an eye on. And, of course, Brian Curran is a part of the LGBTQ pro-transgender caucus. I'm hoping – I don't know if this guy is, opposed to the mutilation of children. assume he is if he's running for office as a Democrat, but you never know, and at least we do know that Brian Curran is in favor of that, so this guy could probably only be anything but, nothing but an improvement. So that will be a very interesting race to follow, and if people are in that area, they should definitely be checking out the results.
Jesse, on this show, we do use people's pronouns, so it's Brian Curran, they, and Joe Fraser, he, him, okay? So we do observe the right pronouns on this show, all right? Great reporting. I don't think people are going to hear that anywhere else. I don't know anyone's talking about that.
Right.
All right.
I even tried to find some news articles on it because I was like, if we're going to talk about this, let me try to find something that kind of breaks down the race. And I haven't found anyone who's doing it. And it's like, how is not even anyone on the left talking about this? Because if I was on the left, I'd be saying, hey, this district, there's a chance it could go to the Republican if we have a Democrat out there who got a DWI who, and Curran was also one of the main people behind the no-knock warrants and then the what do you call the parole, the school resource officers. She was a big involvement in that problem where, these school resource officers were saying, you're not even giving me any authority to enforce these rules. So the school resource officers didn't even want to do their jobs for a while. And it was thanks to the Democrats like Brian Curran. So it's going to be an interesting race. And just another one to keep their eyes out for.
Okay, so let's go to, we got two really important topics. Let's just do Elon Musk, and then we'll finish off on fake Republican writing a Star Tribune editorial endorsing her, Kamala and Walz. So this was over the weekend. It's really interesting to see what this show has been bringing to you guys for the last year and a half. 2 years if you include the Jake show that predated this. It's really interesting to see a bunch of our issues being covered by the National Press Corps, and in this case, even Elon Musk. So pull this up,
Things
Dawson.
that the Republicans were too afraid to say in Minnesota. Especially this pedophile stuff. It's just like, there were so many Republicans who were like, oh, we shouldn't go out there and say it like that. But it's like, it is what it is. The Democrats protect the pedophiles in this state more than they protect the children. And they're trying to mutilate children. They're trying to screw over parents. And the fact that it's nice that it's finally getting the attention that it deserves. But this is the kind of crap that should have never happened in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so this is Elon Musk asking Community Notes. I don't know Community Notes well enough to understand how it works, but I got a comment about it. So he goes, is this true, Community Notes? And it's a fact check. Yes, Tim Walz signed a bill that removed anti-pedophile language from Human Rights Act. And I don't know, for some reason the community notes are gone now. It used to be on the bottom, and the community notes, from the best I could tell, wasn't actually accurate.
So if they're removed, that just means that they were deemed inaccurate after getting checked.
It was about 66 2/3% accurate from last I saw. So we do have the story, and I was tweeting at him, but not that I really can get the attention of Elon Musk, which would be fun if I could.
You never know.
Why can't they do that? We literally have articles about this stuff, and they're going to frickin' outspoken editors. Who are these people? Get some Minnesota news
this came
in there.
across his, I guess, desk in some regard. So he put this out there. I don't know who these people are, but they're probably in agreement with us. And then it's like, well, how do we validate this thing? So, I signed up for Community Notes. I've never done it. Once again, I don't really understand the process works, but I want to get this information out there. So I started tweeting about it because, we pretty much broke the story. What ended up happening, let's pull up this at actionforliberty.com. I wrote this back. This is actually the final article on it. We wrote this probably back in March originally. But on May 2016, only one Democrat legislator in the state of Minnesota had the courage to break free from the grasp of the Metro Democrat bosses and vote against the dangerous gun control pedophile bill. Only one. The party of JFK has turned into a lunatic cult where children are paraded in front of overtly sexualized adults and capable of receiving genital mutilation surgery. And those opposed to these insane ideas, they're labeled as hate groups. The Gun Control and Pedophile Bill, SF 2909, also known as the Judiciary and Public Safety Omnibus Bill, is an unconstitutional multi-subject 522-page disaster legislation. It institutes red flag gun seizures and universal background checks, and it also amends the Minnesota Human Rights Act to make pedophilia a legitimate sexual orientation. We broke the story on Thursday about the bizarre pro-pedophilia language. The Minnesota corporate media has ignored the story, and Democrat legislators have shrugged it off as not a big deal. but the pro-pedophile language affects Minnesota's unfair discrimination practice and would not allow the would now allow the sexual attachment of children by adults to be considered a protected class. All right, click on that link there, Dawson. Let me specify, and for people that don't know about this issue, let me tell you what exactly happened and why Tim Walz signed this and made this into law. In the Minnesota Human Rights Act, which I think was passed, it was many decades ago, there was a provision in the Minnesota Human Rights Act, and this is in the second paragraph. It said, sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult. Wonderful language, right? Like, who would be opposed to that, right? That was in the language, because someone could argue, I have a sexual orientation where I enjoy looking at pictures of minors. So they want to put into law that that's not a legitimate sexual orientation. Now, why does that matter? Because there's certain protected rights in the Minnesota Human Rights Act. And so you can look at it scroll down there. It's unfair discrimination practices 363A-08 through 19. So just to paraphrase, if you're a protected class in the Minnesota Human Rights Act, an employer cannot refuse to hire you or discharge an employee who is of a certain sexual orientation. A property owner can't refuse to sell, rent, or lease property to you. A private company can't refuse to sell goods and services to you. And a school or college can't discriminate against you for the full, quote, full utilization of benefits from any educational institution. Okay. So, do you understand the Minnesota Human Rights Act said sexual orientation does not include a sexual attachment to children? What the Democrats did is they struck out that language. They struck it out. So it's no longer the Minnesota Human Rights Act. So in other words, if you argue your sexual orientation is an attachment to children, right? That is a legitimate orientation now. And the only way for us to say it's not is to continue to have that language in the bill. Why? So here was our big question when this passed. Who on earth was advocating to remove that language? Where did that come from? And this was Stinky Finky that authored it. Mm-hmm. The one transgender. It's a dude who's dressed up as a woman in the Minnesota House, authored this bill. And by the way, Republicans amended it back in, and this is where the community notes got it wrong. They said, well, it actually was added back into the bill. But that's false, because I think it was Harry Niska had this amendment. It got voted unanimously on the floor in favor because Democrats didn't want to go on record directly on that issue. And it got stripped out in the conference committee. And so when it got its final vote, which, by the way, was a multi-subject bill, it's against the Constitution, it had gun control and pedophilia language in it. And so it went back and it got voted, and Tim Walz signed that into law. So essentially, Tim Walz took out specification in Minnesota Human Rights Act that pedophilia is not is not a legitimate sexual orientation, right? Who the hell's advocating for it? What loonies on the left? And we wanted to break this story, but we couldn't validate it. But it looked like some pro-pedophile person on Facebook was messaging Senator Nathan Wiesenberg, like admonishing him for speaking out against this thing. I think this person was also like another. Now, we couldn't validate if this is a real person, but it looked like it to us. And we asked the guy who wanted to come on a show and advocate for pedophilia. Now, once again, if you act on pedophilia, it's against the law. You cannot harm a children. Don't mistake what I'm saying here. That is still against the law. But if you have that open sexual attachment to it, you should not work in a school because, I don't know, maybe you act on it. And maybe we should know who has that proclivity. And they should not be anywhere near a school. And according to the Minnesota Human Rights Act, because of Tim Walz, that is no longer forbidden as a sexual orientation. Now, we don't know how the courts decide this down the road because that's what would end up happening. All I know is it was specifically, expressly written in the Minnesota Human Rights Act that it is not a sexual orientation, and Tim Walz took that out. So if you want community notes, Elon Musk on this issue, there it is right there. No one follows us more than us. We're on top of it. We follow legislature, and that is extreme. And we never got an answer. The press just ignored it. The Democrats acted like this is pointless language. You know, I think they were saying like it gives a stigma to, you know, the homosexual community. But it's like, don't you want to make sure that isn't a sexual orientation? Aren't the LGBTQIA plus going, yeah, let's keep the pedophiles out of here. Let's not have that any part. But they don't. It's the LGBTQIA community that want to get rid of it. So I have to ask, for what? Because we do know that there are people that think pedophilia is okay. I remember growing up in the 90s, you knew about this organization, NAMBLA. South Park had many episodes on NAMBLA, National Association of Man-Boy Love Associations, or something like that. National Association of Man-Boy Love Affairs. I don't know. There's 2 A's. One of those A's is association, I assume, right? Freaking crazy. So there are people that are open. Now, they've kind of, since the 90s, kind of gone into hiding, but this thing surfaced up in a bill. So there you go. That's the truth. You heard it right here. Last issue. So I get fired up on that issue because no one in the media reported it. It was like us.
Well, and it's insane. If they're advocating for the language, it's like, at what point are they going to advocate that a pedophile in their actual actions are not against the law? Like, I genuinely think that's the direction that it's going towards.
That's exactly.
Like, what's the, like, why else would you advocate for them to not be called pedophiles and be allowed to be around kids in schools? Yeah, crazy.
And it's like, Bridget, it's like, can't we just agree that that is just completely wrong? Like,
well, yeah, of course.
Listen, I got a little empathy. If you get your jollies from children, that sucks. No one would want that curse, right? But if you do, you really need to be segregated from the population. You can't be anywhere near children, right? And you should allow people to discriminate against that. And certainly if someone acts on it, you do have to lock them away. And I don't even know how you sort this out, because if someone's got that proclivity, can they suppress that? That sucks. That really sucks. Like,
they got a town in Arkansas full of pedophiles. You ever heard about that? They got all these, like, you know, the ones that are free. They all move into a town together, but the neighboring town is like, we don't like this because our kids can't go to the park, and you know they're all worried about their kids. But I don't know if that's the right answer. If you just send all the pedos into one little area, because I mean, but that's the thing. Anybody who does anything physical to a child, they should be in prison for life, or just get the death penalty, because
you have to be segregated from the population 100%.
Yep.
And so if you have that proclivity and you're open and honest about it, and that really sucks, and I really don't know what to do with that, because, you know, can someone suppress that? You know, eventually actions are the thing that matters the most, but you have to be able to discriminate against someone. That's, if the Minnesota Human Rights Act is meant to be something, it's to stop bad things from happening. And I don't know who would be advocating for pedophiles, but that happened. Yeah, I guess I'm so sick of it, because, you know, if it wasn't for us, and I'm sure Alpha News probably covered it, I doubt any other. I mean, maybe News Talk and stuff like that, but I don't know who else would have covered this. Like, just conservative media, and I think we were the first. Okay, I got that off my chest. Let's talk about a fake Republican. Do you guys know who Michael Broadcorp is? This guy is such a loser.
Heard of him.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I've known who this guy is. What's that?
I said he knows me.
Why is that?
Well, he attacked me on Twitter.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think.
Yeah, no, he went after me for what went on in CD6, where, you know, me and Chris Corey had the audacity of challenging Emmer. So, you know, this guy's totally baked into the establishment. Whether it's Emmer, whether it's Walz, no matter who it is, he's on their team, and he's against the grassroots who are doing something to try to stop the establishment from ruining our country.
So I've known this guy, you know, for the last decade or so. Boy, he is a piece of work. I mean, he just trashes every conservative grassroots person on Twitter. And he loves, like, investigating people's, like, past, like, bankruptcies and crap. But, like, if you know his past, like, he was the communications director or something like that for the Minnesota Senate. And he had an affair with the Senate Majority Leader. I believe his wife was getting I heard his wife was getting cancer treatment, like, overseas when he's had this affair. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I heard from a good source. But anyhow, he had an affair, got fired, then sued the Minnesota Republicans because he got fired because he was sleeping with the Senate Majority Leader, which seems wrong. By the way, it is a female. Amy Koch was her name. She ended up having to resign as Senate Majority Leader. Then his life is crumbling. He gets in a Dewey. He crashes his vehicle because he was drinking too much. This is the guy casting stones. Oh my God, it's like just hilarious. Like, this is the dude casting stones.
How is
like,
he even Republican if he's supporting as failed candidate as saying Biden, Walz, and now Harris? I'm like, how are you Republican at that point?
Right.
I mean, Bridget, you just stole where I was going on this one. I mean,
sorry.
geez, if you were at show prep, you would have known. That's where we were. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's true. That's where we're going with. How's he Republican? He actually endorsed Tim Walz in 2022. So you're making the fantastic point. Like, this guy.
I didn't steal it. Actually, failed candidate did.
What did he say?
Just basically what I said. Broadcorp has supported Phillips, Biden, Walz, and now Harris. And then I just added, how is he even Republican?
There you go. You guys are stealing my thunder there. But that's the thing is, it's true. It's like he was the deputy chair of the MNGOP. Maybe
and
this
Steve
just
Simon. He supported Steve Simon.
Oh yeah, of course he did. This maybe just explains to you how bad the MNGOP is, right? Like David Hand, I mean, that guy's no genius, right? So this guy was actually the deputy of the MNGOP back in the day. So he's got that in his resume. And so now the media tells this guy out as a Republican whose common sense. No, he's not a Republican. In fact, I bet this guy's getting paid under the table. And I don't know. I've heard some rumors.
Yeah,
we're gonna get into that.
Things going around, right?
We're gonna do that in the post show. We're gonna do that post show today. But since Local's not working, post show on Thursday, you don't want to miss that. I got some stuff. I got some info. Pull up this is the DFL. And of course, this is why they do it, right? So the DFL could say, look, we got a Republican who's got common sense and supports Kamala Harris. So if you really are a Republican, Michael Broadcorp, but you're not, you're a real piece of shit for doing this because, look, you knew exactly. I mean, you were the communications director for the Senate Republicans. You knew this would be what they would do, right? So they say today, Michael Broadcorp, former deputy chair of the Minnesota Republican Party, announced in an op-ed published this afternoon that he will be voting for the Harris-Walz ticket and called on like-minded Republicans to join him. By the way, how does it feel, Michael, that you won't actually convince a single Republican? You won't even convince an independent on this. This is your fame. You're on our show because we're trashing you, and you got on the DFL's website.
He's not really involved in the Republican Party anymore.
No,
that's
well,
the thing. He's not a delegate. He might, get people to take pictures for him at something, but it's not like he's involved in these things anymore.
And even if he's voting Democrat now, then you are a Democrat,
right?
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't someone say David Hand does his show, his podcast? Mm-hmm. Like Hand won't actually have the guts to come on our show, but he does Michael Broadcorp. Maybe that might be some of the things we're talking about on Thursday's after show. The full op-ed is available here. Highlights and key excerpts from Broadcorp's op-ed are available below. Quote, as a Republican, I choose to proudly support Kamala Harris for president and Tim Walz for vice president, wrote Broadcorp. On character and values, this election is about reaffirming that character still matters in our politics. It is about defending the values that first drew me to the Republican Party, ensuring those values, such as defending the Constitution instead of suspending it, have a place in our country's future, says Broadcorp. What are you talking about? You think Kamala Harris and Walz support the Constitution?
Right. He's only doing this to raise his profile. That's the only reason he's endorsing Walz and everything else is because he realizes that, hey, there's a Minnesota guy who I can endorse. I know who Tim Walz is. Tim Walz knows who I am, and I can raise my profile and, reach onto the national scene with these Democrats, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's just trying to get his own name out there. He knows that the Democrats were going to run with a press release like that, and that's why he shouldn't be classified as a Republican anymore because it just gives the Democrats a headline like that when it's, which
means you're a Democrat because you're giving the Democrats a headline.
Right.
Harris is qualified, capable, and committed to the country's best interest. While I may disagree with her on many policy issues, probably not, I do not doubt her love for this country and her dedication to its institutions.
How can you say that?
And then on Walz, I watched Walz go from congressman to governor, and I have come to respect him. He embodies a joyful politics that serves as a welcome reprieve from the divisiveness that has become so prevalent in our political discourse. It is in Walz's political DNA to unite people. Wow. How do you even say this with a straight face? And he is the right person to serve alongside Harris. Wasn't he here during COVID? Literally, there was essential and non-essential. Oh, he's the uniter. Mm-hmm. It's so...
The guy that had a snitch line, rat out your neighbors.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Super uniting. It's so obvious to anyone. Now, it's not going to... The funny thing is, this isn't going to work. He got his one day of fame, no Republican is getting fooled by this. Not a single one. It's a rational thing as a Republican to go, you know what? I really don't like Donald Trump's personality. I think he's unbecoming of a president, and that's why I refuse to vote for him. Okay. I understand why you don't like the mean tweets, all that kind of stuff. It's another thing. Here's another rational thing. I don't like Donald Trump's policy on debt. That is my issue, and I don't support the fact that this guy is just going to pile on more debt. And that's why I'm voting for the Constitution Party. Okay? So those two things you could maybe save some face and say. But when you say, I'm voting for Kamala Harris, right? Like, what are you talking? Like, there's no Republican that goes, oh, yeah, when you stack up the issues, Kamala is better than Donald Trump? Are you insane? Are you insane?
She doesn't even stand
that's
for
insanity.
it. She doesn't I mean, if you go to her website, where's the policy? There's no policy. She won't even promise anything for, to try to get people's votes. So
I've heard that, but I have never looked at her website.
I looked
so
at her
what's on
website. There is no policy at all.
So what does she even say?
So she's not standing for anything. And she's obviously, stealing Trump's ideas, just doing these rallies, giving scripted speeches. She stands for nothing. She's just like Tim Walz. Both of them are phonies that will do anything to advance their political career, and they don't really have any core principles or anything that they stand for. If these people were asked, what is the proper role of government? What is the role of the president and whatnot? These people would give answers that aren't in line with the Constitution. So.
Line 28, Dawson. This is interesting. I didn't even realize that. That's a really good point to pull out here, Jesse.
Yep.
It's
this is Kamala Harris. Just hit close. This is Kamala Harris's website. You got Meet Kamala. Right?
Oh,
no issues, no platform.
Yep.
You got Meet Tim Walz. By the way, that's been I didn't even spend any time on Walz today. That's been adjusted so it doesn't refer to him as a retired command sergeant major anymore because they were fake news on that. By the way, the Kamala Harris campaign also had to retract or clarify that Walz has never served in combat because he lied about that too. Then you got Take Action, you got Events, you got Store.
Yep.
It's really interesting.
No policy. She doesn't tell people what her agenda is. If you go on Trump's website, he's got his entire agenda laid out right there. So, people want to say Project 2025. Well, how about what does Kamala even stand for? Because she's trying to do two things at once. She's trying to say that Joe Biden's a great president, and then at the same time, she's got her own positive vision of what's going to go on. Now, all of a sudden, she's calling for a ceasefire. Really? She's been supporting Israel this entire war. Now, all of a sudden, she wants a ceasefire. It's almost like she's a politician who's just trying to win over these progressives back who are fed up with it.
That's everybody who's running right now. They're all trying to win. So I think that Kamala definitely has a bigger issue when it comes to not having her issues listed and stuff like that. But Trump is doing the same thing when it comes to, I want to win, so I'm going to do what I can.
And that's normal.
I'm saying that she's lying. I'm saying that she doesn't support a ceasefire. I'm saying that she's been in line with Israel this entire time, and now all of a sudden she's saying she's for a ceasefire.
Well,
she's only doing that to try to win.
Well, Jesse, people are on both sides. Fair point to Dawson. People are on both sides of the issue. But hold on.
What is Trump saying about this that he doesn't actually believe? Let's
he's legitimately done a 180 on some immigration stuff.
Let's talk Israel. That's the issue we're talking about.
I don't know. I don't know if he's done a flip-flop on that, but you could take other issues he has.
Sure.
So,
no. But, okay, so pick another issue then. Pick your issue of the litter then.
What was the issue that came up? He was on a Zoom call with, or a podcast with a bunch of Silicon Valley people, and he had a legitimate 180 on immigration. I can't even remember what it was.
It was about accepting more immigration
visas or something like
right.
that. Yeah. So he's legitimately changed that view. I honestly don't really care
the point
too
is
much.
Everybody
does it. Here's the point that I want to get across: is the big issue is
I don't accept it.
Okay, but you'll accept this. Ready? Kamala Harris hasn't earned a single primary vote. She got a virtual roll call to nominate her as a Democrat ticket. She hasn't done any interviews. She's maybe answered a question on the tarmac before getting on a plane, so she really hasn't had any media availability in 3 weeks, and she has no platform on her website, and it's working right now.
Yeah,
like how insane is that?
It's the media.
She's right now. If you look, let's go to Real Clear Politics, and then we'll finish up this episode. Real Clear Politics. Let's look at the battleground states. I'm gonna send this to you here real quick.
Okay,
Dawson. I'm gonna put it on.
That is crazy to think because I just think that's all attributed to the media. Like if it weren't for the media.
Weren't we watching a thing this morning that was making jokes about how much Trump flip flops? Just like even when it comes to who he's talking to, wasn't that the joke?
Well,
You remember that? Obviously, it's
well,
a
yeah,
joke,
because
so.
that was Kill Tony. That was just Shane.
Yeah,
An
it's
impression of
parody.
Trump.
I mean, listen. Okay, Trump's inconsistency on people is funny. Like he did it with Tom Emmer, right? Like he literally does. Tom Emmer is a glorious rhino. Tom Emmer's a fantastic congressman. So that's what
No,
they're
I
making
know.
fun of.
I
him.
guess here's the frustrating part for me. We got one guy who's trying to save America, and then we got the two of you who are saying, "Oh, let's try to tear him down over this little thing. Let's try to tear him down." It's like, let's try to save America, and then and then we'll hold him accountable to do the right thing. But we're trying to make America great again, while you guys are trying to, it's ridiculous. I think it's a stupid conversation.
Yeah, I bet I'd be scared to have that conversation in your
No,
seat, too.
you're talking
never
about
been so
comedians.
insulted
You're
on
talking you're talking about impressions of an impression of Trump by a comedian, as if that somehow relates to Trump. I mean, come on.
I've never been so insulted on my show before. I'm trying to save America. Trump's trying to save America. You're trying to work against it.
That's what it feels like. It's like, come on, guys.
We don't. I don't
change.
personally
This
think,
is why I love having you on this show.
I don't personally think that Trump is a god. I don't think that any of them are.
I didn't
and
say
so
that.
When
God?
but
Trump
Harris clearly is.
Well, I don't think Harris is anywhere near a god either. I'm pretty sure God's a dude. But
Clearly is. I mean, come on, guys, get on board, right?
Jesus
Kamala
is a
Harris.
dude,
Associated Press says so.
but not God.
Love Minnesota. You agree with Jesse? Come on. Odd one too. Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you.
I mean, that's-
sometimes
yeah.
it's
I
just
love
like,
America.
we
Do I
don't
need to say
we
that I
don't
love
need to hear the
America?
same old arguments over and over and over again about Trump. It's like, we understand. We voted for him in the primary. That's who we want. We're ready for it. So it is what it is. And
Well, I'm just trying to be accurate here. Not saying don't vote for Trump here. I'm just saying trying to be accurate. It's not like he's the most
you
consistent.
say that sometimes. You're like, I don't know if I'm going to vote for Trump. It's like, we're
No, you
trying to
have.
win,
Yes,
aren't we?
you have to earn my vote. You have to earn my vote.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I don't know how he hasn't at this point. He got shot in the head. It's like
why would I vote for someone?
At this point, I'm voting for Trump.
Okay, that makes me 100% vote for him because he's clearly actually trying to do the right thing. The whole elites are against him, and
Because
for a
some
very good
Republican
reason.
kid shot him
Why
in the
would you
head?
not stand up for a guy who's done everything to stand up for the country? I don't know. I agree.
Failed
100% with
candidate
that.
says,
I'm with
Jesse,
you.
you can't have it both ways. Support Ilan and Trump. My head will explode. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, failed candidate.
and like I said, I only started that because because Laura Loomer's out there saying support Don Samuels. I wouldn't say, I want people to vote in the Republican primary, but if Laura Loomer's going to pull stunts like that, I'm going to do the
It's
opposite.
very clear he's got a crush on Ilhan Omar, which is unfortunate for him because he's not Ilhan's brother. So it just won't work out. Here we are, real
It
clear.
is, like with her, really quick, it is her exact, same parents, actual brother.
Yeah, but I don't think she is guilty of incest. It was clear she was just doing it so he could get citizenship.
But they're still married, even though.
No,
he's-
that
No, she's on husband number 3.
It seems very obvious that's what
Okay.
she did. She
Wait, she's currently married?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's been
Okay.
married 3 times.
Oh, okay.
So, which is not normal
there's
for
still hope.
Muslim women, but
there's
yeah.
still hope.
Okay.
There's still hope for Jesse. All right, let's go back to real clear politics. Oh, Jesse, don't change. You're so great. Pennsylvania. Click on Pennsylvania. Trump has got a slim margin of victory. See where it says Pennsylvania? Go down.
No,
No. Go back up. It's right above that chart. Above that chart right there. Keep going up. Right there.
Oh,
See
I
it?
see.
Yeah, I know. I
They're
don't
not
know why
even
they don't have the
colored different.
battlegrounds. They should have it. They had it with Biden. So there you go. There's Trump's up in that yellow column. He's up by 0.8 in Pennsylvania. And let's go to Georgia.
How much do you believe these polls?
Well, I would
That's my
say
thing. Can you even trust any polling?
what I would say it's actually if we just go to the graph below, that kind of shows you over time, and then they actually said, see, he was whomping Biden, and then they're much closer with Harris. But right now, Trump's got a 0.6. So this is all within those margins of error, razor thin. The fact that he's winning in case you guys don't realize, if Trump wins Georgia and Pennsylvania, he's the president. You guys understand that, right? You know this, Jesse. He only has to win Pennsylvania and Georgia. And he's very well positioned right now to win Georgia and somewhat positioned to win Pennsylvania. So all these other swing states he could lose. So the math's still in favor of Trump. And as a lot of people put it, the honeymoon's going to be over. But now let's go to Wisconsin. Harris is leading Wisconsin. Arizona, Trump's up by 1.5. And then Nevada, Trump's up by 3.7. Nevada has kind of for a while not looked like a swing state. And then last but not least, Michigan, which Trump was comfortable in, and that's the worst state now with Harrison, is 2.4. So you see, there is cause for concern, but if we're being accurate, Trump is still in a very good position. And as you said, Bridget, how much do we trust the polls?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like, how do we even know real clear politics is like legitimate at this point, or who's, I don't know. It's just like they could easily be skewing the polls to make Harris look amazing, just like the media is doing.
I think real clear, I'm pretty sure they're being pretty accurate. They're taking the very credible polls and then they're putting the average. And you can see 538 also does this stuff. Here's some context. At this stage in 2016, Clinton was up by 7 points. I think this would be national. In 2020, Biden was up by like 7.5. So the fact that basically Harris and Trump are tied and polls tend to skew left, it still means Trump's in a good position. So I do think this honeymoon period's over. At some point, some young journalists want to get an interview with the first potential woman president.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, I really want this interview, but she won't give me the interview. And the honeymoon period's over. And eventually, it does sound like they're going to have a debate. And it's going to be hard for them when she says, what is that famous line? The
unburdened by
what he has been. When she does that stupid shit, it's going to be hard for them to cover on that. Not that they won't do it.
It'd be interesting to see Walz and J.D. Vance. Because Walz actually is a good speaker.
Yeah.
But so is Vance. So
it will be interesting. One thing I was thinking too with Tim Walz, he never really had a honeymoon period for VP. It was basically like as soon as he was selected, he was attacked immediately. So there wasn't as much goodwill that was built between him and the American people at first, because a lot of people saw the military stuff, the Black Lives Matter stuff, the rioting, and transgender. And when people are going down the list and the tampons, I mean, the tampon Tim was like one of the first attacks within like the first couple of days. So, he doesn't have a whole lot of grace period where he wasn't under attack. I mean, it was basically immediately the conservatives had pointed out exactly what he was about.
Bad at Harry says, check the dates that those polls were taken. The media have been running polls about a week old to give some edge.
Yeah, but I think most recent polls are not looking good for Trump. So I don't know if you're saying that like it's actually Trump's inflated because of it. Well, I think you have to look at this and go, this race was like predominantly Trump was about to just clobber the Democrats, and that would help down ballot. And at this point, it's not as good. But no, I think there's still hope. I mean, not all hope is lost. I mean, once again, honeymoon period. By the way, we're only August 13th. Yeah. November 5th. There's a lot of time. It's going to get crazy. I'll tell you one thing, and then we got to sign off. I wish we had time for the post show. We did almost 2 hours today, which is crazy. But the post show on Thursday, you're going to love this thing that we're hunting down. This is really interesting. So if you're not a subscriber, I would recommend hitting join on Rumble right now, becoming a subscriber. Helps out the show, keeps us moving. So does Bad Ed Harry, by the way.
Yeah,
he helps out a lot. That was very nice.
And Tucker, and I can't remember the other one.
Love Minnesota.
Love Minnesota.
The great patriot, Love Minnesota. But Bad Ed Harry really brought it today. $200 in Rumble rants. Wow, that means a lot. I guess I got to treat these two to dinner, huh?
2.
Oh shoot,
Dawson,
that's right. I guess I'll invite Dawson too. All right. Do I need to invite Ilan Omar for you, Jesse?
We'll see.
So, anyhow, hit join on Rumble and become a monthly subscriber. We're gonna bring a hell of a show with you, and we'll have Tushy, by the way, on Thursday because he'll be off the primary trail apparently. What else did I have? Well, thanks for the sponsors. Alpine Cabinetry in St. Cloud, Warren Wester of Keller Williams Realty, John Galt Mortgage Company. Go to johngaltmortgage.com. And last but not least, Yes Solutions. You got to give Kyle a call at Yes Solutions. The company's run by the Patriot Clark Nelson. All your shipping needs, whether it's a pallet or multiple truckloads of freight. Thank you, Bleeding Aluminum. Says, great show. I think so. I was having fun. I was having a blast on the show, laughing my ass off. The Ilan Omar stuff was so great there, Jesse. Don't change.
Someone had to say it.
Don't change. Don't change. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back on Thursday at 1 o'clock. Take care.